We've got bikinis.
You wear that in the summer at the pool, right?
What?
Kiwis.
Keys. P.
I don't know what that is.
It's a little pepper about this big.
The ornamental type where the whole top of
No.
the plant's shaped like this.
No.
And they stick it.
And they're 5 times hotter than a jalapeno.
Are they different colors? Like
No.
some purple.
They're just red. Well, I've seen them online purple, but I couldn't get them to grow.
I had a bush one time that had yellow, the purple, orange, red, green, and hotter than the blazes.
Well, we've got a bush that Mike brought back 3 years ago or 2 years from Texas.
Yes.
Little tiny leaves on it too.
And I've started a bunch of plants from the seed. They're about this big now. But I kept it alive every winter for him while he's gone. So when I do canning with things he wants hot, I add pekin with the jalapenos.
I like to pickle carrots and cauliflower like that.
I do pickled green beans with it. I took a nap.
Do you ever do radishes or anything like that, Michelle?
No, because I don't grow radish.
I have some. I can bring you. My family won't eat them.
You want me to can them for you?
No, I mean if you just want, because I just eat them fresh and I always do it too.
The round ball shaped
Mhm.
thing.
I
I
like
both those and then French breakfast, which are the oblong. Yeah,
I eat those.
dude, I like them too. But yeah, my family is like they don't.
I grew a row and a half of those French breakfast.
Mhm.
I can't keep them in the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, you can't.
I eat them like,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I take them and I'll rinse them off. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
I'll bring some.
But I planted a double row of whole beans, blue leg, stringless
Nice.
today.
Nice.
So I'm going to have lots of green beans to can too.
Nice.
Just call Exodus. Do you know the trash can done?
No, I can get it for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell me, and then I'll tell them.
You know,
Which is a funny process, but yes.
Yeah, I'll just message it to you.
Okay, yeah.
I think that'd probably be better. I
Yeah.
used to throw out all our extra cans, and I'm sure they don't like that much.
Yeah.
So,
Call to order, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bring us all breath.
Oh, yes. Here's. Mhm.
see Richard or Jerry.
Okay, roll call. Michelle,
Here.
Annie,
Here.
Brett,
here.
Tim.
Here.
Justin's not here at the moment. Did he call?
Yeah, he sent us a message. I didn't really hear.
They would not.
Mhm.
Okay.
Guys are ready to move on. I guess last week.
Okay. So everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda.
I would like to add something probably under continuing because I brought it up before and I think our conversation drifted away and we didn't get it fully addressed about the 3-day permits for boats.
Okay. Where you want to put that?
We can put it under continuing business.
Yeah, I know, but which one? There's 4 items there.
Put it
Buoys.
yeah, the last one. Item number 5.
Okay, and that's gonna be, boat permits, right?
Yes, sir. With that change, I move to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Okay. We got a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of boat permits and a seconded. All in favor? Passes 4-0.
I move to approve appropriation ordinance
We gotta do
14.
the
Minutes.
minutes first.
All right, fine.
You think I was around the show making that mistake?
We'll find it now. There's a typo in there that was corrected. Just 2 words that were repeated. Doesn't change the meaning of the sounds are all good.
We can look for it.
Oh, there it is. Last page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs up. To remove. If we strike one of those 2 removes, then I move to approve the minutes.
Oh, yep.
A second.
You see where it is?
No. No, okay. To get a motion to approve the minutes with the one change and a seconded. Those in favor? And those opposed, none.
And I'll repeat my motion for the appropriation ordinance.
A second.
You have a motion to approve and a second. Roll call. Michelle,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
All right, at this time, public concerns or comments. Do we have anybody out there who wants to talk about anything at the moment? Okay, we'll. No public concerns or comments? Okay. Stephanie, you're up.
I don't have much. I was gonna update you guys. I did have someone that was interested in subbing, possibly. Sam Carr. I don't know if some of you are familiar with her. Sam Carr. She lives on King Road in Rock House. Anyways, she's interested. And then Connie Insbringer can do it here and there some days if she's available. But she, to make it worth her time, would like an increase of $15 an hour. So just want to throw that out there. And the main reason why I am bringing this up is because I have jury duty on June 7th. So
Fun time.
yeah,
Just one day?
Well,
So far.
Yeah.
they call me up and then, oh man.
We did our advertising for the treasurer, or no, or
Mm-mm.
It's just been word of mouth as far as I know right now.
Yeah, no, we haven't
Two
put
people
anything
interested in that. that I know of. I've interviewed one of them. I need to get with Carrie and the other one.
Yeah, Carrie's interested too. So
I was just thinking maybe they could fill in too.
I mean,
whoever
yeah,
that is.
I didn't. Yeah,
Is this
It
the right
would-
paper?
it is. Yeah, it would be nice though, even if I had someone to call. Like even if we had a treasurer in here and say they were only part-time, if they couldn't come in for whatever reason, just to have like a backup. Sam had kind of said that she could do it, you know, on a whim when needed. So it's just kind of nice, in my opinion, to have someone like that. But I don't know if you guys want her to fill out an application or like to do for that. But
I think at the least we should have an application.
Yeah.
on file.
Then I can talk to her.
Who filled in for you?
Connie,
Connie did?
Mhm.
Okay.
And like I said, she'd be willing to do that, but yeah, she would like an increase in pay, which
What is it current?
like minimum wage is what it was. Yeah.
Didn't she get 15 this last week when she
Yes,
worked for you?
because
I thought she did.
you
Okay.
approved that.
Yeah.
So yes.
Anything else, Stephanie?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Do we have any purchase requests or work orders to look at?
No.
None?
Not for me.
Okay. New city business. Angel Burton, you're up.
Hi, I am coming to you guys. I spoke with some other parents. We live on 2nd Street, and it is a
Second Avenue.
Huh?
2nd Avenue.
2nd Avenue, and it is.
That's my street.
Okay, I'm not her street. Her street's bad too, but it's a very, very fast street. It's one of the longest stretches in town that does not have a stop sign, and it goes straight from Main Street, clear to the highway down. In that 2-block area, we have 15 children that like to play in the street because we have no sidewalks there. That's cool until we have all these fast drivers coming up and down without getting into the whole debate of law enforcement. I have done some pricing, and it would be less than $1,200 to have speed bumps placed down 2nd Avenue. 4 sets of 2 speed bumps would be less than $1,200 with the installation kits, and it takes less than an afternoon, supposedly, to the website for them to be installed. And my kids have a few things to say as well. Well, mine and extras. So, go ahead, please. You go first.
My name is Jacob. I am 7 years old. My street is dangerous. Please help slow down drivers. Thank you.
My name is Gordon. I'm 9 years old. My name is Gordon. I'm 9 years old. Me and my friends like to ride bikes and scooters. My brother likes to skateboard. I would feel a lot safer riding my bike and scooter with speed bumps on my street because it is the only spot I can ride because there is no sidewalk on my street. Thank you.
My name is Kira. I am 9 years old. I like to skateboard. I also like to ride bikes. I want a safe place to ride. Thank you.
My name is Rachel Logan. I also live on that street, and we see drivers flying up and down the street consistently. The basketball court is right there. Kiddos are constantly crossing the street. And just yesterday, I watched a truck go speeding down the street so quickly that it had a trailer behind it with like the Ranger ATV on the back. It hit the bump right by the old school with the trailer. The trailer popped open. The Ranger rolled off the back of the trailer and went flying through 2 yards and into the parking lot where the district office was. It was downhill, and they were going so fast that the Razor still had the momentum to go like half a football field. So that's how quickly they're driving down that street, even with trailers and things on the back of it. So
I'd just like to add that we have 3 special needs children that live on that street as well. One, I call him special, but he is blind in one eye. He's not qualified as disabled, but he is blind on his left side. He has already been hit by a vehicle in this town. Speed bumps would not have stopped that accident. They can stop others though. That's
I'm Garrett. I live on the corner of 2nd Avenue as well, and I stand for it. I have a 6-year-old son. He's growing. I also have a baby as well, brand new newborn. With that being said, a lot of teenagers totally fine. They go down to the park and play and shoot baskets down there at the school, but that causes a lot of traffic back and forth. And a lot of times they don't slow down, make stops, look for kids. And yeah, I can vouch for the sidewalks as well. A lot of the sidewalks, they just can't ride on those sidewalks. A lot of them are older and up on hills, and so they do tend to go to the streets.
thank you. In the back.
Council, you have any comments?
How many were you wanting to put in?
A set four would go, that would leave the first block open. The second block would get a set, the third block would get a set. There's one more set that they could do, and if they wanted in front of the district office, I don't know what that would affect with the buses. I just priced 4 just in case. That was one step I missed when I was checking all of this, was to check with the district office if there was any issues with the bus part. I don't see that there would be, considering the regular speed bumps, just the rubber ones that get hammered down. It says they slow traffic to about 15 miles per hour is what it slows traffic to, 15 to 20, which is, I think, in a city, town, whatever, that's playing fast enough and two, it's, stop and look. But if 3, we could make 3 work, great, but I just know that the further down the road you get, the need for attention is more on our street. So I think that it would make sense to do 4.
Because they start on Main Street or vice versa, and by the time they hit the other end, they're going highway speed
Oh yeah, you can.
regularly.
I mean, I was 16 in this town. You can get some speed on that. Let's not kid ourselves, but it's very dangerous with all the children.
When you say 2, like a set of 2, they're side by side.
Like I said, they're only 6 feet long and it's 12 foot across the road, so you do need 2.
Okay.
I measured. And you can get the kit. I looked at Uline. You can get the entire kit shipped to you, everything, instructions, and like I said, it's an afternoon's worth of work is what the website said.
You said they're made of rubber?
They're rubber plastic, yeah, they're durable, but they should last several years. These are not going to be something that is gonna be concreted or asphalted or anything.
We'd also need signs, right? If we did put them in.
It'd be more fun not to have a sign.
I mean, the dip sign is gone across town, so.
Is it? That's
It's
sad.
gone.
That was a national
I don't know
treasure.
who took it, but it's finally gone.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in. I've also witnessed things on that road
It's bad, yeah.
that are very questionable. And it's always more effective when you come in numbers, so.
Anything else on that? Okay. Morans, are they here?
Yes.
Okay, 81 Lakeview Circle, boat lift application.
Yeah, we handed out a diagram of what we're wanting to do. These are jet ski lifts that basically attach to the side of the dock, and then you bring the jet skis out of the water, they swing over onto the dock. So we won't be, we're not permanently in the water. These are for personal use only.
Currently, you guys had a fire pit on your property.
Not anymore.
You removed it?
We removed it.
Okay, do you still have like a patio area there? Or,
It's gravel.
okay, cause I couldn't really, I actually drove by that place today and I didn't walk down to it. I just was at the road and it looked like there was a patio there because there was a bunch of chairs around in a circle. So I couldn't tell if the fire pit was there or not.
We built another one closer to the house.
Okay.
You have just one dock?
That was my question too.
You have 2 docks. Do we have a picture of the other dock?
Well, we're putting both of them on the same dock.
I need to see the other dock.
Well,
Sally, I think. Did she do 2 or just? So.
Thought I saw another picture of a dock.
Well, this is just on your main dock, right?
yeah, it's in the one that's in the code.
This one here. What is that?
So on this, our public officer went out and took pictures. Is
Is this one we're talking
that
about?
your second one?
No,
No.
that's our neighbor.
So this, and then she probably didn't So I'm guessing it's on this
They're-
side.
Around the corner.
Oh,
Your docks are
okay.
in between other people's docks, correct?
Gotcha.
Right.
So
Yeah,
she
in the
probably
middle, our second dock is smaller and it's more in a wake area, so, that's why we would consider putting on the big one that we just presented it as, because there's less weight in tow.
Is this somebody's unfinished?
That's
No,
the
that's-
one that went
There's a
down.
walkway
Yeah.
that goes along the shoreline there that accesses multiple docks. That is just an extension out. Just pulling the pumps in. I know that is not. That is clearly a dock under construction.
I was
or
gonna say, that is
renovation,
an unfinished item, whatever that is.
Do we know what? Not to get off topic or anything, but there is a dock here that's
Yeah,
either being
and I
built
think
or
we,
being rebuilt.
I think we did get, I remember it being on the, agenda
Okay.
and us approving it because it's
Yeah,
the
they-
one that we were going back and forth about the placement of where they were putting it. Do you remember whether it was this way or this way? I remember it.
and they
Must have
were
missed that.
cutting
That's
off
alright.
part of it too.
Okay.
Remember?
I didn't remember it in that area. So,
Yeah.
I have real pictures.
This is yours here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it already has
Has a roof
a
there.
roof on top though, is
Well, it's not a roof, just
well, like a,
regular tree for support.
so you're actually asking for a roof
Cover for you.
and not something you can stand on just to cover the,
Two docks.
right. Boat lifts are fine though, right?
Boat lifts are fine if they're enclosed inside the footprint of the dock. I'll tell you, the first thing that I'm concerned with on this is the fact that the lift is essentially outside of the footprint of the dock. And I understand that you can swing the jet ski on top of the dock afterwards. But if the jet ski is not in place where it belongs, then you have violated the footprint of the dock.
You know, if it's swung
If you
out,
just pull it in and raise it up and leave it right there, because you want to be able to walk around on your dock and you don't want that jet ski taking up your dock space. That's
what
my concern.
would be the difference of having someone who hooks their boat to the dock?
Well, that's not a lift. That's not a structure.
But it's still included with the footprint of if I'm following you correctly.
It would be if it was a permanent fixture, but if it's just tied to your dock, it's not a permanent fixture. That's the difference.
So what's the difference of like having one of the plastic, some folks out there have the plastic,
And they did not apply for them. I understand exactly what you're saying.
that
And-
it says they're permanent.
That is something that we are trying to get ahead of. But if they are not within the 20 by 24 confines, then they are a violation for sure.
The only thing that would be outside that dock would be the pole once it's swung into the footprint of the dock.
I understand that. And I'm Mr. Moran, I don't know you. I'm not saying that you're gonna be somebody who's gonna try to take advantage of a loophole and leave the jet ski on the outside of the dock. But I know that if it was my dock and if I could walk there or have that darn jet ski swung around in my way, I think I'd probably choose to have the jet ski out hanging above the water so that I had the convenience of walking around on the dock. But that's not the intent. That's my concern.
So what is permissible to be able to have your a jet ski out there?
A jet ski lift? Is
What
that-
is allowed, yeah, what's allowed? If you can't have the plastic ones that set by it and you won't allow the one that,
Well,
doesn't
if
sit in the water.
it's not that you can't plastic one, if your dock is plus the plastic floaty thingy, if it's within the 20 by 24 confines footprint, then that's permissible. If your dock is 20 by 24 and you cut a hole into it for the jet ski lift, like you have done for the boat, that's still within the 20 by 24 footprint.
So it's just, if the pole, there's like a turnout for the pole that would be inside that footprint would be good.
And that's what I'm thinking is if we were to approve this, I don't think that pole out there is going to be a deal breaker. But getting caught with the jet ski hanging out off to the side where, you just leave it there, I think that would be a deal breaker.
We do leave space for people to dock their boats against their docks. I mean,
This
that's
is
kind
a
of the
very-
purpose. It's very similar to that in my mind. It's
This-
not meant to sit out. It's meant to be in.
24.
Right.
So in my mind, it still applies to the confines.
Yeah, I thought it was, at the end of the day, we just swing it in so it wouldn't interfere with, any navigating the water.
Supposed to use their dock.
This is a very unique space as it's very, very tight.
Oh, I get it.
And if everybody had stuff for their boats at the docks in this space, no, they wouldn't be able to fit.
But not everybody's dock is even open for parking with, so they just tie to the side of their dock.
Correct.
So,
I'm just pointing out that it is a super weird, tight space, and the docks are pointed out in very not natural directions. And so would you not agree? Like that whole area right in there of all those docks are very tight.
So and I realize we don't have pictures of the small dock, so is it something that would be considered if we put it on the smaller dock? As long as it's still in the configurations of the 20 by 24, whatever the required measurements are, if we just consider putting it on them on the other dock?
Do you know how big your other dock is? The size of it? Do you know?
It's
Off your head.
considerably smaller, yeah, it's half the size. I'd have to-
Pretty
Like a
much
walkway.
Straight rectangle.
To answer your question, I believe, I'm speaking for myself, but I believe that would be allowed because our rule, when you have two docks, that you can do a board for board replacement to either dock to maintain them and keep them in as best condition as possible. Any improvements, a shaded thing, those are not permissible if you have two docks. The only exception to that rule is if you have something to lift your watercraft out of the water, but it must stay within the 20 by 24. Now, if you're going to put it on the smaller dock, you don't need to cut anything out as long as it stays within that footprint. I would entertain the idea of allowing it on the larger dock, provided that it's never left above the water.
In other words, they rotate
Swung
it back
out.
over to the dock.
Yeah, swung over the water.
And if it is found above the water, you might get a warning and then a notice to remove it.
So if we were to use it, we would swing it out to put the watercraft in the water, maybe take a ride, it would still be out there so that when we come back, would we have to swing in?
I
if we
would
were to
think
go
so.
Take a ride, or you're just saying just
Not
to
unless
store
it's
it?
impeding somebody else.
What-
You can leave it there till you come back.
What people are going to be looking for is that jet ski hovering above the water,
Right.
taking up that precious space, which obviously it's very precious when it's already congested anyway.
Yeah, I think the whole reason we went to swings to avoid that hanging over permanently, so, yeah. I think we're on the same page there.
But I think if somebody sent a picture of the jet ski hovering above the water and there's nobody out there playing and it looks like it's been there for a day or three,
Yeah. I
that's
think-
where we're going to be talking
Well,
again.
I think that's probably, yeah, swing it over, I think we need to lock it in place, so that, so if somebody gets on it, they can't swing it out. Yeah, it'd be dangerous to leave it out there, I think, goes cruising by there and catch it, so. When we're done, we're certainly swinging back in.
And likewise, if you're loading the jet ski up onto the trailer and hauling it away, we wouldn't want that
Oh, sure.
in the water. Of course, you wouldn't want it getting growth on it from mussels. That's the whole purpose that we allow you to have lift.
So what's the what's the footprint measurements, 20 by
24.
24?
Mhm.
We might be inside that already, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Might be.
According to
Yeah.
this, it's 19.9 by 23.9,
Oh, so we're inside.
according to this measurements here.
Yeah,
Well,
with the-
they,
The
That's
legal
very
concern, yeah, we-
Oh, wait a
we would
minute.
definitely store it. Just for, so the Jeffy don't get hit,
So I don't see a problem with it myself.
I think that you would have to fill out another application for us to approve, because the second part of this is a violation.
Do they have to do that, or can we just move to approve the first part? Because they have it.
We've gotten in
Number
trouble with this
one.
before.
I'd rather you not
We've gotten in trouble with this before.
record specifically what you're. I think the
Can
time
they
wise.
fill one out
Clear,
right
though.
now?
Yeah.
It's pretty clear though. One's the lift and
Would you
two's the
fill
roof.
out another one
You
right?
asked for a second permit for the.
Just- Just
Yeah.
cover it.
I mean, it's not like it's,
Eliminating
Well, if they
it
would
out.
X out and initial the original permit,
the other one was not even approved at all. It wasn't even on the drawing, period.
well, that's just it. The permit though is gonna be the record.
Right.
So if they get the original permit, X that out and initial it, I'm okay with approving it. So you can approve a conditional on them removing that by taking the original application, marking through it.
Do you have the original application?
Yeah.
We mark through it.
You have an initial right here. I'm glad you showed up.
Yeah, we'll get taken care of.
Mark it through the inner delineation.
So
What he
Okay.
said.
have them meet,
You can mark through it.
okay?
We'll watch it.
Through-
Just mark
We'll
through
criticize you.
clause B.
I missed it.
Part
what I'm
two,
supposed
all
to
two. One, two.
You can draw the line straight.
Oh. Okay, and then the folks who come in here, the initial
Okay,
On video and
then you can just move
I
to
guess
approve
just
the
right there.
amended application.
sure.
I'll move to approve
Wait,
amended.
hold on.
time out.
I'll second it.
I think that you should make the motion provided that the jet ski
The
is
red
above
Daniel
the dock,
Morans and Dover.
stored above the
Uh,
dock.
I'll move.
No, not Moran's,
Okay.
Sages,
Uh,
Robert Sage, yeah,
We need to fill out a
we didn't
second
find that
one
out
for
until
this part.
20 years ago.
I don't
Yeah,
know
Robbie and I hung out quite a bit
Yeah.
though.
for this. I
Yeah,
guess I missed it.
so do we need to fill out a second one for that?
No.
Oh,
Well, if you want, was refused because you got two docks and you can't.
I got you.
Yeah.
Are you Cody Moran's parents?
Pardon me?
Cody? No.
No, my dad's the only child, so we're all from Haddam, Millville area.
Did his only child survive?
Yeah, eventually.
so essentially, because we have two docks, there's nothing else we can do as far as any kind of a cover or anything.
You can
for
do a
that.
board for board repair, but
Right, but as far as having any kind of
Nothing
cover,
else.
there's nothing else we can do.
What you have is
You
what
can't
it is,
modify.
unless you eliminate one of the docks. Because that's the ultimate objective, is to try to get everybody to only have one dock per house.
Okay.
So you have the luxury of having two, but you don't have a luxury of beefing up, so to speak.
Okay. All right, well, appreciate your consideration for that.
You want to hear us vote on it?
Oh, sure.
I'll move to approve it with that they don't leave the lift out over the water.
With the jet ski on.
Yeah, with the jet ski on it.
I'll second.
still your second.
That's all right.
We have a motion to approve with the modification as stated. And we have a second. Any further discussion? Those approved or in favor rather? Okay, 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot for coming in
Thank
and
you.
visiting with
Have a
us.
good evening.
Thank you for removing the fire pit too.
Julie, I'm gonna assume it's either you or Mary Jane for the bait shop purchases.
Well,
Both wearing
I was gonna
red.
say Michelle had asked me
Who?
to. Michelle had asked me
How
to
about-
add this to
Oh.
the agenda.
Okay, wait a minute. It just says bait shop purchases. Maybe I just spoke too soon. Who wants to talk about bait shop purchases?
Well,
that you,
it's
Michelle?
me.
Oh,
Okay, all right, sorry, Michelle.
That's all
You
right.
have the floor.
I'm sorry, Julie. Yeah, under department.
Where's the light?
Sorry, I know.
I know.
I know.
It was
We can
brought-
go back to you in a minute.
That's all right.
It was brought to my attention that, and I looked at all the wiring that's in there. There are no fire extinguishers in the bait shop. And Stella brought it to my attention and inquired that it might be a pretty good idea to have some fire extinguishers in the bait shop.
All
Cause
that
you-
water out there, we gotta have a fire extinguisher.
Yes, sir. Because you have to have a
Well, I don't
certain
think you're
one for
fighting buckets
wiring.
either, do you?
No, I'm a bucket, we're good.
No. And you have to have,
Sorry. I'm just off on this idea over here.
that's okay. And you have to have a certain type of extinguisher.
And what type do we need? Did you find that out?
Well, it would be best to get an ABC.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can use it on any kind of fire.
Okay.
And I even did research on cost.
Well, thank you very much for doing that.
Cost is about $27.
I don't know if we can handle that.
And I thought we should have two.
Yes.
I'm surprised there isn't one out there. Cintas actually just came last week and checked mine, so I
Yeah.
could've-
It's, and
Okay.
that was at Lowe's that I checked that
Do we
price.
want to get it through Cintas or are we gonna buy
That's
our
what I was
own?
gonna say. Can
Well,
we add the bait
wherever.
shop with Centos?
Yeah.
Or do they do
I
rubs
don't
too?
know.
Is this a dumb question? but
No,
does
Ameripride does our
Does
sorry.
our fire department have any?
I don't
access?
think they take any in, but I'll talk to Mike and yeah, we'll get one.
And it's
Get two.
Get two. We will get two.
But how about a 10-year smoke alarm? Because I bet it doesn't have that either.
yeah. I
The
would
reason
say
I'm
so.
saying 3, it would be good to put one outside that if a camper was to catch fire or a fire get out of a fire pit, that somebody could access one when we are not
Maybe
there.
keep 'em.
I think inside.
Just
I don't
inside
think-
what,
I'm thinking it'll
We have a
disappear.
little
They
bit
have
of
a
handle.
case.
they have a case.
They have a case if you want to do an outdoor one. You wouldn't
They-
want it to just sit
And I had a second purchase as well.
Well,
Still,
let's get over the first one first, okay?
okay.
I want to ask about that outdoor fire extinguisher. It's got a case. You have to break it to get into it,
Yes.
right? Okay, well, that will happen if you guys aren't there and there's no fire. Somebody's going to steal it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That-
camera.
That
Well,
camera's not going to do any good.
If it, yeah.
But if it had a camera on it, you'd be able to catch something.
What's that gonna get you? They know who stole my son's stuff. They know who he is. They're in his truck. I'm not joking.
Time to start making phone calls.
Are you sure?
I'm
No,
serious.
it's
They
fine.
need to be held accountable.
I don't know what you want. I told you.
Can't legally do anything.
They can.
Thought I was gonna
You
make
can
it
call
short and
somebody
sweet,
else.
But guess not.
That's the only way to handle it is call somebody else
KBI.
that doesn't wear a badge.
Other badges.
Hmm.
Somebody else needs to step in if they're not doing their jobs.
All right, so 2 fire extinguishers minimum, 3 preferred, but you guys really want to put one outside or not?
I don't think that's a bad idea. You got boats in there.
You got what?
Boats, campers, there could be boats sitting on the docks even. The dock could catch on fire. You got a lot of flammable items with engines nearby. I don't think that's a bad idea.
I don't think it's a horrible idea either. I do hear the
This is-
concern.
This is like
people
Redneck
breaking
County.
it and stealing it.
Yeah,
I-
we could have ways to take care of it. I don't think we've had a fire there. 70 years.
Oh, that you know about, Tim. Come on.
people abandon fires there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not gonna use the fire extinguisher on the side of the fire, are we?
I hope not.
No, I don't think we need to do that. Actual vehicles and things have been left burning before in this area.
It's not
Okay.
that $27 is an extravagant amount. I just don't like putting one out for it to get stolen.
If they don't have one outside to get stolen out of there, I mean, what's the difference between breaking the door and getting in and getting that one? I mean,
Well, if they break into
They're
the
wanting
bait
to
shop
steal
to go to get the fire extinguisher, they're going to take all their beer and food anyway, along along with it.
But if somebody had a real fire and wanted the fire extinguisher and it's not outside and accessible, then they'll break into the bait shop to get it. So you got a broken door to fix.
I think most
It's more than
campers have
$27.
fire extinguisher.
I don't know. I got a really old camper.
Oh, but a lot of people don't have those checked.
Those teeny tiny ones don't actually
So
do
they don't,
anything.
yeah, if you're not having them checked, you could have a 5-year-old camper and a 50-year-old
Here.
fire extinguisher and you go to grab it, it doesn't work. So then you're
SOL.
correct. And we literally this weekend almost had a boat sink on the lake and running their engine high rev, smoke going everywhere, trying to get it back across and onto a ramp because they forgot to put a plug in it. So if it would have came in on fire, there's nothing.
Sitting in the water.
I think the
Three would
motor
be
stays
Okay,
on the top.
and so 3 fire extinguishers, one of them containing a box that can hold it outdoors, is that correct?
Just make the motion. Yeah.
And how much for the box outdoors? The fire extinguisher in a box, do you get price on that?
No, I didn't because I didn't think that far ahead. I was thinking inside.
Okay, all right, and that's fine. So we know they're roughly $27 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And how many pounds is that fire extinguisher, do you know? Is it 10 pound, 20 pound,
It was
15?
10 pounds.
Okay. You want 3 10-pound fire extinguishers. Okay.
Okay, and the second part of I gotta make a motion.
What do we even? That's under $500. Can Terry just get it? Do we even need to approve that?
But you can approve it and just say,
Go get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
approve the purchase.
You don't have to say like a number.
All right, sorry, Michelle, to interrupt you.
All right, if you guys approve it, here's what I'll do. If you guys approve it, I'll get with Stephanie. She can order it online using the city's credit card. And I'll pick it up, or Mike or somebody that happens to be in town can pick it up. That's what we did to the refrigerator.
You should add enough to get the hardware to mount it, because just buying a fire extinguisher isn't enough. You gotta have that little hook to hang it from.
Well, the one I looked at said it came with a wall hook.
Okay.
That would be for the ones indoors, the wall hook indoors,
Mhm.
and then we need to get the box on the outdoors.
Okay,
And those shouldn't be too expensive, I wouldn't think.
okay. I make a motion to buy 3 extinguishers, 10-pound ABC, and all the hardware necessary for the one that's going outside of the bait shop.
Not to exceed
Not to exceed
$250.
$250.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Throwing it out.
Good price.
I'll second.
You get all that, Stephanie?
I did.
All right, so I have a motion to approve the purchase of 3 fire extinguishers, 2 for inside, 1 for outside, with all the hardware necessary to mount them. And we have a second. Any further discussion?
As long as Mike cannot provide whatever we might be able to use, or not Mike, but fire
Fire
department,
department.
because they may have the box, the lock box. I don't know,
Quit throwing a monkey wrench into my motion.
I'm just getting it. Is
Yeah.
the goal to get it? I thought that
Well,
was the goal.
I don't think that's necessary, because we can check on that. And if we can get it, we're still not going to exceed the $250 limit.
Right.
Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Who?
Passes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, the second request made by Stella was a hose, a garden hose to hook up outside for any, problem with the fire.
I have 2 hoses in the storage unit out there.
You do?
Let Stella know where they're at, please.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
It's taken care of.
And I want to add I want to ask a question and then make a statement about the bait house, okay? I understand you're having trouble keeping minnows alive out there. Is that correct?
Well,
Yes or no?
not now.
Not now. What kind of water are you using? Are you using tap water?
It was my own fault. I had too much nitrate in the water. The first time I killed them all. This time I just hauled them. Yeah, I got it taken care of.
Okay, all right.
I might give me a submersible pump, so I changed the water out, and they're looking happy and swimming today.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my own. The guy that I buy the minnows from told me that they're finicky, and they're kind of a pain in the butt to keep alive. He's right.
Okay. And the other
But
thing,
yeah, I worked it out. So
all right, very good. The other thing I wanted to let everybody know is that the church group is coming in on June 25th, and they will come to the lake. Did they talk to you?
No. Well,
Did
not about the lake.
They should have, because I told them where you live, and they said you knew exactly where to go. And I said, be sure to talk to Tim because he has a lot of information for you. So we'll get with them. But they're going to paint that. They're going to come out. They're going to go out the lake, and they're going to paint it. All we have to do is provide the paint, and it's my understanding you've already got it.
I have 1 gallon of white because I was only going to paint them front. I have 2 gallons of the blue that I was going to use around there and in the shower.
Okay, so between the 3 gallons, we ought to be able to get the whole thing painted, right?
Not with 1 gallon of
We
white.
need more gallons of white.
Okay.
I'll have to get. I'm guessing at least 3 gallons.
That's what I was thinking. 3 more.
Yeah,
gallon
no,
of that, you need 5 gallon. You have it to catch up.
What was that?
I said she could take her 1 gallon of white back and buy a 5 gallon of white cheaper than 3 or 4 single gallons of white, and then she'd have it for touch
I
up.
don't think they have those over here.
That's where I bought mine last time. They don't have them now. You
Oh,
don't have
what?
5 gallons of paint anymore.
You can order them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll do
Let's-
that.
Let's do that. Then you have some for the shower house. and
That'll be
whatnot.
great.
Michelle.
Tim, I left 2 cards to be filled out for the 25th. And if you can get them back to me, or I'll go, you can just fill them out for the work,
Serve day.
for the serve day.
So if you have stuff at the
Oh,
lake,
What
other
you want
stuff,
done.
okay.
I have a bunch up here too, so I
Yeah.
can just give them to you after. the
So
meeting.
did they decide? Because when I asked Roger Beach, he didn't know about if they would cut any of the brush around.
I haven't heard from him on that.
They
And-
will.
And, okay, and I had the impression with the 2 folks that came to our house that day, that they would be talking to Tim later that day. Maybe you weren't home. Was it on Saturday we were here? When is it Saturday?
It was
Sunday.
A Sunday, okay. So it'd been this past Sunday. Were you home?
Yep.
I can't believe they didn't go to your house. They knew exactly where you lived, described it and everything.
Yeah, they came talk with me in the morning.
But they didn't talk to you about the lake?
It was probably before, I guess. I don't know.
So they told us they hadn't been there yet, but that's okay. I've got a business card from them. I could contact the guy and like she said, just fill out what you want done and we'll get the information to them.
Yeah, because I go to that church, so I
Okay.
can
The biggest concern they
get
had at the time I talked to them was that there was not enough takers in Eskridge to have them work a full day. They were afraid they were going to be done before noon.
That's why we want you to put down on the card everything you want done.
I understand, but I'm putting the word out as well for anybody in town
Mhm.
that needs something done that hasn't stepped forward to do so now. Come into City Hall and let Stephanie know.
Yes.
And
People should
also,
take advantage for sure.
also is at that time when the question came up, since the city owns the north side of the lake, basically, would they go out there and do that? And they said, sure.
Mhm.
So that's when the conversation switched to Tim. And I knew that he knows that there's a lot of things out there that he'd like to see get cleaned up and done.
And if there's something that's not on the list that's, checked, you can write on the back. If you have any other little
Okay.
things you need done that's not on the list,
Okay.
write it down.
And the reason they need to know now so they can have all the equipment they need to do the work when they get here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
While we're kind of on
Okay.
both the lake and this subject of the helpers, I'm guessing it's probably not a good idea to have them replace the boards on the dock. The boards that we talked about going around the perimeter of the dock.
Oh no, I talked to those guys who have been doing the work out there at the lake. from Council Grove. They mean, I actually working on docks. I'm not sure that they got permits or permission, but I asked them to put me in a bid for going around the concrete dock with the boards. And, looking at the split one over there that was, cause it's just got a couple of hinges that were missing.
Okay.
Would you have them come to the meeting next city?
They're
council
out there doing
meeting?
work, correct?
Sometimes.
Are their boats registered with you?
Yeah,
Yes.
they did register their boat.
They actually have a pontoon boat that is a flatbed. They took everything off from it and made it a flatbed so they could haul stuff across the lake.
Like buoys?
No, they're construction
That's
workers.
construction work. So they had boards and they actually would put somebody's a lift in. So they had it on there. But I made them register the boat for a year
But that's
Well, they've been
okay.
out there
Yeah,
twice. So that
instead of
makes
just
sense.
a 1-day permit.
yeah, that's fine. They're planning on doing more than 1 day's worth of work out there.
Mhm.
And it's my understanding too that they believe that they don't need to get building permits for people to work on people's docks. Well, that's why I'd like to see them come out here. If you
I'd
see
like
them,
to see them come here too. 'cause
come,
I've
have them
been
come to
told
the
that
lake
as
meeting
well.
next Monday. If
Not
you see
next
them.
Monday.
What?
The next.
It'll
The
actually
next-
be
the lake-
That's if we
two
see them
What's
because
today?
they don't come in
What's the?
to
when's the
us.
lake
I got their
meeting?
number.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like
it'd
2
be
Mondays.
in a month.
It won't be till
But-
June 13th.
But it'd be nice if they came out before that. If they came out on the June 14th meeting.
13th.
Again, the lake
13.
meeting is traditionally the second meeting of the month. But
Traditionally,
during the summer season, almost every meeting is
But
late.
if they're doing work out there right now,
we
with
need
no
to know.
permits,
We need to know as
they
soon as
need to come
possible.
in immediately to
Yeah,
know
that was
that
my-
they need
my
permits.
intent.
And they need to see
I
the
agree with you.
permits before
I
they
agree.
start working on the
Yeah, that's
docks.
their fault and people who are mad.
Well, they need to see the permits before they start their work.
And I don't know if you are interested back on the subject of getting those boards fixed. I know there's another dock builder who does a good job, Rimpro. It's the Eric guy. He's done a lot of work out here too. So I don't know if I have his number if you want a bid on that. Just throwing that out there.
Construction crews really should know that before they start any building project that they have to make sure all the permits are in order. So it's not just solely the homeowner's responsibility.
Right.
But we can politely remind them if they show up 2 weeks from now.
I think Michelle had one more thing on the lake.
Ray Jane, you have something else?
It
I have a
should,
question. Had a gentleman come in today. He's talking about possibly renting 2 spots for 6 months. How does that, is that something that you guys have to vote on because it would be past closing of the bait shop while they would still be there? Because he's talking about coming either at the end of June and possibly renting 2 spots for 6 months from July on.
Or if he's getting the spots in June and July, whether you guys are there or not, November and December wouldn't matter. We'd have him on record as being allowed to be out there. I don't see a problem with it. Does anybody
there
else?
would-
There's no water.
Right, and they know
Yeah,
There's
that.
that
no
would be-
bathrooms. Okay.
And
Okay, there'd be no bathroom
No, they
access
pick
at
up-
all?
They pick up the porta potties and everything would be winterized. So I don't know how that works, I guess.
So they got cameras.
that's
they went
kinda-
to the bathrooms.
They can go down and come back and pull up.
Right, but
Last
would
year-
they be able to get water from the hydrant to fill their tanks?
That's still on.
The hydrants would be?
The hydrants are turned off. That's still got water.
last year it was decided that somebody doesn't stay in one spot for more than a 2-week period. That's the way it is
Oh.
at many lakes.
This is policy.
Yes.
They doing construction on the apartments.
No, they're doing construction on 99. He's from Abilene. It would be his workers that would be staying in them. But
Nice
it's not a
red cabins out
guarantee
there.
yet. I just need to know if it's something that we can do, can't do, so that if he comes back, we can accurately inform him.
Well, I will say that I'm out of line by saying in my thought that it was okay because I understand there might be a policy against it. So I'll retract my statement saying it was
Well, I've
okay.
already
And
let
we'll,
somebody stay out there for the
we'll
last
look
2
into the
months.
policy and see how it reads.
She's working out the nursing home. And she's in one of the campus spots. She's gonna be out of there by right after Memorial Day.
And number
Is she getting a
two,
discount?
no, we're not allowed to get discounts.
It won't be.
Number two, I have one booked for 3 weeks in July for one spot.
Article 12.
So am I not allowed to do that? Do I have to call and cancel that?
It's not in the code, that's just what you said. It was a policy that was passed probably by the council just informally. So it can be waived. And if you've already agreed to it, then you're bound by it, so don't change anything you've already done. We're talking now about an extensive use.
It's not that they can't camp for more than 2 weeks. It's just that they need to move at the end of 2 weeks. And those that you've already booked, obviously, he's saying they're fine.
Well, I was
So we
under,
got 6 months, then what do you want to do? That's a lot of money to throw out.
that is a lot of money.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And I did tell the guy there, it's 16 a night. There is no discounts. That's the full cost.
Pocket change for construction people though that
And
don't want to stay in a
he
hotel.
basically he said it's cheaper than a hotel.
Absolutely.
How many people are gonna be in there?
The way he talked was it would be 2 to 3 in each camper.
Each camper, how many sites did you want?
2,
Okay.
at least 2.
$60 a month. Between $440 and $460 at the $16 rate. A day. So that would be, that would be a lot of money.
That'd pay for them fire extinguishers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sure would.
Personally,
And I have told him that if it is booked like on a weekend and they're assigned to this one and this one, because they're looking at LF. Well, I would much rather put them at LF6 and LF5, farther up from the water, closer up to the road access. That way we keep 1 through 4 available because those go faster, closer to the water. And I told him that if those are booked, he would have to move his camper, the campers out, and then could bring them back after the bookings had left.
Yeah, he'll have to leave on the 4th of July.
I know a lot of people like to have that 5 and 6 spot also because it's relatively flat, shady up that way, kind of secluded away from.
But we have way more booking on 1
down
through 4.
to 1, sure. And that was the problem. That's why we did this 2-week thing because we had somebody who stayed in number 1 almost all summer last year. And what my first thought is if we decide to allow this, I think in the middle of the ledge, because it's hard. If you got somebody at each end of the ledge, it's hard to get into the middle.
Now, are there 30 amps on the ledge, or are those just the 50 amps?
Those are $18 a night
Right.
Yes.
compared to 16. But yeah, I agree. Because once you get in the middle,
He's
then they
trapped
can
in
just
and he's
stay.
going to be there
Right.
anyway.
Right. But I guess the question is whether we can adjust to let somebody stay there for 6 months or not. I mean, it's not. In all actuality, right now it's up in the question or up in the air. He's not sure whether they want a motel room or they want a camp. So I guess you could just give it a think until.
What's the rest of the council think?
that's money in our pocket. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Doesn't matter to you. Fine with it.
I'm fine with it there. I just don't want him taking up a spot on the 4th of July weekend or Labor Day weekend.
I don't know. We'll make.
They can't. That's already been expressed.
No long term and no free spots and no any of that for those big holidays, right?
Correct.
We talked about in the last meeting.
I think that's what I heard.
Well, the only one who gets
This isn't an individual either. This is a construction company
Right.
that's working on the highway. I don't have a problem making an exception for this case.
I don't have any problem
This
with it.
case.
okay, then what's the next order of business on that then?
Okay.
I would like to try to push them towards that middle of that ledge though and explain the reasoning. So Okay.
Takes a motion, people.
Does it?
Does it?
Do you guys want to just do it? I mean, you're saying that you're waiving, are you continuing the 2-week practice or are they going to
We're
comply?
continuing the 2-week practice, but we're waiving this specific instance because it's not an individual person, it's a company, a construction company working on the highway, and so we're waiving this, but not other cases.
Well, then I would do a motion.
That's what I move.
That's what I second.
And that's what I'm gonna vote for.
I hear a motion to approve and a second. You got all the reason. Right? Any further discussion on that?
No.
All in favor?
So voted.
Let them know, please, bait shop
Thank
operators.
you.
They are approved, paid in advance.
Right, and he was told
Okay.
that.
Okay. Good deal.
They might come back.
Yeah, they might.
And that's if he gets the contract. He's just checking
Sure.
and was supposed to, and I was supposed to check too.
I did forget to put Julie down as a department report, just
Okay.
FYI, so that's my fault. I don't know if you guys want to look at her.
I say we go ahead and knock it out now since we're already in that mindset.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, your report, please.
I thought Michelle had one more thing about the Bay House.
No, she did.
Okay.
It was the hoses, and you have
Okay,
them.
and I squelched that. Oh,
No, I do.
You do? You want to go
I
ahead?
have a question.
Okay.
Maybe you can answer for me. I had a gentleman, Mr. Steve Griffin, that asked me about the inspection fees on boats. And he was just curious. He wasn't upset or anything. But what is the inspection for if we already have zebra mussels?
Brett
I
can
think
answer that.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
Called the Wildlife and Parks when we have discussed this prior, and there are more aquatic nuisances, different grasses and stuff that can wreak havoc in our intakes for the water that we need to be searching for and spraying out the motors for and stuff. There's just multiple things. I can dig back my information and give you what I wrote down from that, or maybe
Milfoil. I remember that.
milfoil. Yes, that was one too. It's recorded too, me saying all of that or whatever, but that's why.
Okay. Well, I didn't know what to tell this gentleman because
I know
I
in the
didn't
beginning
know when we
the
did
inspection fees came because everybody didn't want the zebra mussels because they're such a huge problem and we didn't want them, and so we
Right.
started inspection fees and all of that. Now it's kind of morphed into there's more invasive things as well.
Okay.
Aquatic plants, other things that we don't want
Makes sense.
here at all either.
But I didn't want to tell the gentleman something that wasn't true, and I'm not going to tell somebody, I
Right.
just flat told him, I don't know, but I will find out the answer.
Yes.
And when we
I've
do
gotten
the
that a lot.
inspections, I tell people it's due to we are looking for grasses that are not allowed to be in our lake. We're looking for any other kind of species of stuff that's not supposed to be on your boat.
Okay.
And so we are
Debris
spraying.
that can have molecules, particles of stuff on it that we don't want tracked into the lake to create another problem for us.
And what is it that you're spraying on the boat?
Water and bleach.
Water and bleach, okay.
And it's not even a 50-50 mixture. I think we're only 3-to-1 water to bleach, so that it does not damage anything, but it's enough to
Kill everything.
kill anything if you are spraying it.
Okay.
And I spray the motors, the props,
Mhm.
the fins, and then I go and spray because you get stuff on your wheel wells underneath the inside of the wheel well because that goes into the lake.
Well, thank you very much for answering my question because I didn't know. Now I'm better informed.
I,
Julie?
Mary Jane has some papers to give in for our weekly reports.
Top page, is the list that you asked for at the last meeting.
Oh, the inventory.
Oh, good.
I know, she even wrote down the pegs.
Thank you.
She did a very good job.
Thanks, sir.
That might have been Todd's copy.
I don't need one.
You can't
No,
read
that
it.
was
You can't
Justin's
read.
copy.
No, the pictures.
You get that to Justin.
Okay, yes.
Page 2 should be just an addition for the last 2 weeks to the last report I gave you for the sales. And then the third page tells you breakdown of each week, how many of boat permits, fishing permits, blah, 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 blah.
Are you scanning these in so that we have a digital record of these?
I can, yeah.
Well, if
Do
she
you have the
goes,
previous one still?
Yep.
if she goes
I
on
would
to,
greatly appreciate that.
you go onto my square. and
If you go on Square,
Yeah, I have.
while Julie's
I
here,
don't really do that.
Oh, okay.
when we were, I was talking to you the other day, and you were saying that Astra won't allow you to put in a person's name.
I just wanted to.
Mary Jane
Record.
fixed that.
Okay,
She talked to him today and fixed it.
okay.
Yes.
So now it's just-
Now we can add customer info for point of sale, for the boat
Boats.
permits, fishing permits, one-day permits.
That's part of why we got it. That should have been in there, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
it
ending-
wasn't.
they're ending with it for
It's,
their name.
there is a 12-step process to get that person into it, just to get them so that you can ring them up.
Because it was getting all the information, but there was no spot for a name,
Right.
right?
Or
You
just permit
couldn't
number.
get all the information. All you could get was you went to and you would hit like residential fishing permit. So you hit that button, it would give you nowhere to put in who's doing it. I still don't have a spot to write in the boat permit numbers because that's not included on this. So I need to figure out, I'm probably gonna have to try to see where I can, or if I can't with Astra again, on just to add the boat permit numbers.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
There's nowhere.
What if you can write it behind their last name?
Should be something you should make as a
Sure.
searchable field
There is
though,
something, yeah.
which you should be able to edit that
Yes,
stuff. I
ask
mean,
them.
that's.
Have you should come out and see that though.
It is quite
Complicated.
more complicated than what I think people realized. So
I found it funny that your trainer said it took him 7 to 8 months to figure it out for himself, and that 90% of the users won't be able to figure it out, so they'll come into you anyway.
Mm-hmm. That's probably gonna help a lot anyway.
Earlier,
But we're ready.
one of y'all mentioned something about free camping, free permits, things of this nature. It's just the city council that gets that, right?
as far as I'm understanding, the only one that gets
Free
the-
camping and free fishing, right? City council.
But I also
Except for
Except for what?
July 4th, Memorial Day, and
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Yes, council members can't have holidays. But
was
I
on
also
there,
thought
Oh, yeah, it was in the
That-
vote.
Then I owe you some money.
yes, sir.
I know where you live.
I just lost this stuff.
I do too now that he owes you money.
I also thought that.
You
Was
also,
it the fishing permit?
Yes, fishing permits. I thought that the city employees got the fishing permits for free. They didn't pay for their fishing permits.
That's what we talked about before, that it was kind of understood, but I don't know that it was actually on the books.
Okay.
I don't see that
Until
in
we
Melbourne
made-
Vision anyway.
Until we made it official, I always paid for mine, but.
My husband paid for his. I mean, I guess not that he's an employee, but.
If you
Well,
guys
it's
have
elected
something,
officials.
please put
Oh.
it on a list so that we have that.
He said employees.
I said employees.
Oh,
I really thought,
but not your spouses.
but employees.
Right.
oh, I don't know about that rule. I misunderstood your question.
Yeah, no, that's what I knew that we
And
could
when
take
I first
advantage
came
of that,
on
but
for
I thought that
whatever-
we gave that extension to our employees as well.
However, the employee still has to have an official state license.
Correct.
Oh yeah,
And
there's
when
no
I
getting around
first
that.
came on, I could
Right.
be
Yes.
completely wrong about it, but when I first came on, I thought I was told that it was city employees and volunteer
firemen. Yeah, I think that was true too.
It sounds
Is
like
it
what
what
I
I
was
look it up?
told.
I had that impression as well.
But I-
Volunteer firemen.
maybe
Because if I tried
Well,
to
almost
guess
the
everything
people
off my
I'd like to
memory,
put on that.
No
I'd be in
kidding.
trouble.
Yeah.
I think we need to look it up then.
Veterans, Seniors.
All right.
Like I said, I would like toss it.
Can we research that and get with you as soon as we get an
Well,
answer?
I
Absolutely.
kind of looked and I don't know where it's. I don't
Where it
know.
would be.
I mean, we voted on the
I can look like
camping
this in the thing.
last year.
I remember last
Yeah,
year.
you guys voted on
Before.
council members either last year or the year before.
It was the year before.
It was during COVID because it was a televised thing, and I called in and said I made a comment about it being a tax deductible item that has to be reported by the city, and I got lambasted for that, lambasted or whatever, for making that comment. However, I did look it up, and the IRS says if we give you a quarter, they want their taxes off that quarter. So
Sales tax.
if that's
Yeah.
No,
so
it's sales tax.
not sales tax,
Income.
it's
So the tax, is it a taxable fringe benefit?
right.
Yes.
It's income.
It's reported as income. They want their 25 cents.
Oh, it's not in there, Stephanie.
Okay, yeah. No, it's not.
Well,
No, it's not.
I
Mary
mean,
Jane knows what's in
to
there.
clear
ain't
this
it?
up, I move that the city employees and the volunteer fire department be allowed to fish at the lake. I don't know if you say that complimentary or have the right to fish at the lake or
Without buying a city permit.
Not have to have a permit.
right.
A city permit.
A city
A
permit.
city
Yes, they
permit.
have to have the
State permit, of course, they'll have to have that. But
I would second that.
Sorry, what was it?
it was for the employees and volunteer fire department.
Okay.
Yeah, is there something official that says who's a volunteer fireman?
Yeah, I have.
have a list.
You have an official list of those people. Okay.
And if they're both, they can finish with both hands.
Can we have a
Yeah,
copy
'cause all
of that
our guys
list?
are
Yeah.
supposed to.
Yes, she's gonna get
Yeah,
you one.
absolutely.
Okay, we'll vote on it, so I can get out of here. I'm about to have a nicotine fit.
No, you can't get out here yet.
Hold on, you guys have to vote.
Well, you should.
I
All
can
right.
slip in every citizen in that.
A motion to approve city employees and volunteer firefighters to not have to have a city permit to fish at Lake Wabunsee. And we have a second on that motion. Is there any further discussion on it? Those in favor?
Yay.
Opposed or zero?
Okay. I had somebody call me that they were going to bring out like a church group of boys, like kind of like a Boy Scout thing, only they were gonna camp out for a couple of days. And they were wanting, the boys were like 16 and under, so fishing permits would be okay. But they had a couple of kayaks that they wanted to put on. And I was just wondering if we have to, like, where it's a volunteer group or a church group or something that's bringing out a bunch of kids like that, if there's, do I have the ability to waive? Like, I would think maybe I'd make them pay for one and one inspection, like buy one, get one free. So that way they're not having to fork out $70 for 1 day worth of kayaking.
Who are they really, and what are they doing around here?
Only around in Topeka. I got his number and stuff. I got all the information from him, and he wasn't sure that they were coming or not. But he posed that question to me. So if it's like a church group or something like that, I mean, is that allowable?
Right now, what's it cost to put a kayak on the water?
$20.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's 30 with the inspection.
Well, yeah, but $20.
Right, it's
is-
$20 for the permit, and then it's
$10
$10 for
inspection.
inspection. Yeah.
And they were gonna camp Friday and Saturday and only use the whatever
Kayaks.
kayaks on Saturday. So 1 day. So $60 is a pretty big chunk.
I've always said that I thought that we charge way too much to put a kayak on the water, and I personally am in favor of charging people $15 per year for a kayak. End of fee.
With no inspection?
So you're willing to have watercrafts go on the lake without an inspection? That totally just negates the inspections of everything else that goes on lake. Anybody else not agree with that? Like, how are you gonna let one vessel not get inspected, but every other vessel has to be inspected? This one magically can't carry anything that can track into the
How
lake,
many?
but these over here
many
we're worried
kayaks?
about. Like, I don't understand that. And I've kayaked a lot of places. I don't think we're that outrageous. A lot of places are free. I understand that, but we are a lake that charge to be on it.
It kind of is if you go by the 1 day permit for a kayak.
I mean, I'd be pretty upset about
I think
paying
it's-
$30 for a kayak ride.
I think our 1 day thing is.
But you're
Now,
also-
And I'm
as
trying to be
far as our
realistic
1 day
because
permit,
people on the other side of the lake are not getting their kayak inspected each time they put it in the water. They're just dragging it down the yard, putting it in the water.
Right, or leaving it on
But
the
because
dock.
they're doing that, I don't want to change the. Do you see what I'm saying about the inspection fees?
I
Before we get
understand
into
your
that,
point.
can we address this thing first? Because we're not changing the rate
That-
tonight.
that's
right?
not-
well,
trying
one
to
question
address
on that.
Are we
Your
changing the
1 day
entire rate?
permits and your 5 day boat permits. Technically, we are charging inspections. Are there supposed to be inspections charged on those 2 permits? Because if not, then you could run it a different route.
What do you mean?
On a 1 day.
On a 1 day boat permit, we are charging, if it has a motor, we are charging the $28 inspection. To be charging that, or the $10 inspection on the kayaks, because it doesn't actually say that we have to, we just are.
It says inspection fee per non-motorized vessel is $10. So I guess all other inspection fee
Now, is that,
28.
I've never been clear on that either. Is that inspection a one-time only for the entire year? And-
Right, when they
and
put it on, or if they take it off and then they go somewhere else and then they come back.
You
we
charge
just-
them again?
No.
That's what I wanted to know.
But it
Okay.
will be inspected
Right.
and sprayed out and
Right.
washed, but
Right.
they've already paid an inspection fee. So, like our citizens, when they leave and come off and go, they don't have a dock to go out there. So they're not paying every time. They are getting inspected.
I'm with you.
Should have been all along getting inspected every time coming off and on of the lake. The residents at the lake, when they normally leave their boats there all year round, they just pay the initial inspection fee.
So what other benefit are we gonna have with the Boy Scouts being out there that weekend?
The camping.
They're just, they were gonna rent 2 camping spots.
They're gonna rent 2 camping spots and they will probably use the canteen, so to speak, the big house.
They're,
Like
no,
cookies
they're,
and pop and stuff.
yeah, they might, but I doubt it. I mean, they're gonna be down there in the primitive. They're gonna tint it up and, do stuff that little boys do.
They'll come back.
Yeah, cook some
And
hot dogs.
They are always looking for campsites.
I'm guessing.
And I'm thinking
hot
as a
dogs.
volunteer organization,
What-
I think we could probably do something for that. Maybe
Charging
encourage
the
others.
inspection fee and not the permit fee.
Yeah. That
I
sounds
mean, you
good.
want everything inspected, just charge them the $10 fee for the.
Well,
volunteer
all the
groups like
boats
that.
that get a permit fee have a sticker that's put on, right?
No,
Is that's not?
no, the
So-
1 day and the 5 day
So-
permits do not.
But they have to have something in their possession. that shows
They have a
it.
receipt that we hand write out for them that says that they are able to be on our lake for that day and that they have purchased a 1 day or a 5 day permit.
How much is a year for the kayak permit?
20.
Yep.
So it's the same price.
Well,
for a
20
day or-
for resident, 38 for non-resident.
Right.
Plus
So it's
inspection.
$20 to be able to
For
take
a
your
day.
kayak out there all
So
year
it's
long.
$20 for a day or $20 for a year.
No, that's not.
Why do we
Why
have
do we
that?
charge the
Why
same?
do we have that? $20 for a day or $20 for a year? Is that asinine or what?
It is.
I mean, really?
Well, because some people are only going to be there for a day, and I think that I believe it was Tim and Justin that wanted to decrease it down, wasn't it?
I thought we had decreased
And
it.
we did
we
decrease
not?
it down.
We did.
Higher?
No. Oh, so we increased everything else, but we left that one the same. I think
Uh-huh.
is how it went.
It would decrease the inspection fee.
No. We increased the non-motorized. Yes. Sorry.
Is
The
there a
kayak,
5 day
yes.
for kayaks?
Mm-hmm.
So do they pay like $20 per day? What is that one?
How much is
Where's
5
the-
days?
I just don't have that whole list off the top of my head.
Here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was a pamphlet.
The
Sorry.
5 day is $40 plus the inspection for the motorized.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't matter. It's with or without motor. It's still $40.
So let me ask this question. In the past, in the summer, has every campsite been taken up every weekend?
No,
So roughly, now this is your first year running the bait shop out here, right?
correct.
So to your knowledge, how many on average campsites are available every weekend?
Quite a few right at the moment, like for the tents.
Other than July
Okay,
14th.
well, where I'm
or-
going with that is if we can encourage volunteer organizations such as Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or whatever the nonprofit organization is
Right.
to come up and take our campsites that we wouldn't normally have filled, then we might waive the
Right,
daily
'cause they
permit.
were
We
gonna
might
be-
waive the daily permit, but charge them the camping fees just to
Right.
encourage them to come out.
Yeah, 'cause they were gonna
That's
be
an
on an
incentive.
off
All
day.
counties, all everywhere. I mean,
What did I say? I said nonprofit organizations. I don't care if they come from Alaska.
They'll be disappointed.
They would, because we don't have nothing near the fish. yet.
my only concern is giving them breaks. We don't even give our own citizens breaks, and it's their lake. So we're giving all even non-county organizations like if it-
We do
say
give
if it
our
was-
citizens rate, resident or non-resident, we charge different rates for our citizens versus out of town or out of state.
and we give them kayak different rates and camping different rates,
mean,
like we're
we
about
We don't
to.
give the camping different rates, but we do give
We're not giving
different
a different rate
rates.
for the scouts, there's nonprofits coming in either.
But
The only
all
thing we're doing is
governments are
eliminating the daily permit. Because they're only gonna be out there one day.
I'm just concerned that other organizations like this will be coming and wanting the same treatment.
And if we have space available, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we give them that treatment? Why give up $50 for a weekend because we're being selfish about a 1 day permit for a canoe? Or because somebody's from another county?
I agree to disagree. We don't see it the same way. It's very
Okay,
apparent.
And
But
that's,
on the
that's
other
fine.
hand, on that, Brett, you would not believe the amount of people. This weekend alone, 5 people came to get on our lake for a 1-day boat permit. Once they found out, they had $88 just for the permit and the inspection for 1 day or 2 days. They left. They did not, that was too high. They just did not, couldn't afford it. They wouldn't pay it. That's revenue that we just lost. You guys lost, not me. But you as the city have now lost.
Potentially, because let's say that happens 12 times throughout the year that people aren't going to want to pay that. So if the people that it paid, like, is that money going to work out, or keeping it at that high rate, we're going to be making more money, because when you lower it, you're going to have a ton more people and it's not going to add up to what it was before.
That's a business question, though. I mean,
But it's a
you
fair
can
one.
price yourself out of losing business. You can absolutely do that. And if it's comparable, maybe, I don't know if you guys are up for it, maybe do some research and see what the other lakes. We should be comparable to the other lakes, because if they come here and they're like, oh God, like that's ridiculous, I can go to 5 other lakes around here for less than that, then we are charging too much. We should be
Most
comparable.
lakes around here are not private lakes.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
They're not.
there's another thought on that as well. What I'm proposing by allowing the nonprofits to come in is really not any different than somebody buying a plane ticket or getting a hotel reservation. You get it far enough in advance, you're going to pay a whole lot less than somebody who waits the last minute to get it. So you're giving, their businesses do give discounts for various things.
Yeah.
They give discounts for seniors. I know, because I'm one of them. I get discounts everywhere I go, just about. Just about.
Well, worst comes to worst, I'll just. So,
Well,
I mean, I'd split it with them, split the difference.
and it's not much different than us getting Astra. The whole idea of getting Astra is so people nationwide can see us on the map and maybe
Right.
decide to stop and spend a weekend at our
But
lake
if
as they're passing
90%
through.
of them that go on Astra can't figure out how to use it,
Well,
that came from the trainer's mouth
all right,
to
all
Mary.
right,
Okay, we're on
okay,
topic.
okay, I understand that, Brett, but we approved all that.
It's not actually
Hang on.
Astra, by the way, that they're
Hang on,
looking on,
please.
just FYI.
Please. We talked about this before we got Astra, and every one of us thought it was a great deal. And we bought into it. Now that we've gotten into it, it's not quite like we thought it was going to be. So I'm not buying the argument that 90% of the people don't know how to use it. And we should have known better before we took it on. We've taken it on. We've got to work with it. We've got to figure out how to use it. So if you don't want people, encourage nonprofit groups to come in here, then that's up to you guys. I don't care.
Well, after Terry did, as a business, they come into my store and they buy me out of ice cream and stuff. You know, the ice cream bars, and they buy snacks and stuff. And the group I think that you're talking about, this gentleman hosts kids about 5 times from the city. And he has a place out here and he hosts, I asked him who they are because you can tell they're not his children. And he said, they're from my church. And he said, and I just give them someplace fun to go for the weekend. And he comes out probably at least once or twice a month. And so and they're like in our store and they like our lake.
So if we're gonna do this, I would like to put out word to the organizations in our own county here,
sure,
to those kids that we are now doing this.
Mhm.
So come to the city and take advantage of it.
Right. And I think the Alma paper allows you to put community event information in there. So there
That's
you go.
not really an effective way to get information out.
All right. So how do you propose we get the information out?
It's
to
one way, but it's not very effective because how many people in this room have a subscription to that paper and read it? 1, 2, 3.
And I sell 8
4.
or 9 at the store every
So that's not even half of the people.
But you also have the one that runs out of Wamego that services a good portion of that part of the county with a free paper
We also-
every week. The
We also have
smokes-
4-H that uses the lake every year. We have organizations locally that do use it. So,
But
we
yeah,
can
if
get the
we're
benefit
going
too.
to extend this out to non-county nonprofits, then we need to make it aware to our own that we have here that that's what's going on, so they can take full advantage.
And I don't have a problem doing that. And we also let them know if space is available.
Reach out to them.
If space is available. Okay, if space is available, because if they got a packed weekend on, say, July, what's a weekend, not the 4th? Does that run Monday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday?
Sunday.
Starts at Sunday. So if they came out on the, I can't see that, but I'm gonna say the 9th and 10th or the 8th and 9th of July, that's a Friday, Saturday, right? And you're totally booked, then we couldn't give them a campsite. And I shouldn't say give them because they're still paying for the campsite. They're just not paying that 1-day boat permit. Just a thought. But I'd much rather have 90% of the campsites filled than have 30% filled and not getting anything out of it.
Speaks measures to the other campers also to see the full campground.
Right. I moved to give free kayak permits to nonprofits. I don't know if that's the best way to say that, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
I think what you're like a 1 or 2 day permit,
One,
right?
yes.
Not
For
a
1 day
not
permit.
a season
Right,
permit.
not a season one.
Yes.
So you're gonna waive the inspection fee as well, is that correct?
No,
Allow
I
them,
wasn't gonna do that. because-
allow them to put a boat on the water? I'm not saying disallow the inspection itself,
said
just the fee.
Waive the permit fee, not I didn't say anything about the inspection fee. So
I
that's
just want- I just want it clear that they'll still have to pay the inspection fee, which is
The $10.
$10 per vessel. Okay.
I have a question for clarification.
Mhm.
If the objective is to entice them to come to our lake, the same group comes out 2 weekends later, they get free boat ride again?
Yep.
Sure.
Just want to make sure that was on record.
I
And
don't
just pay the inspection fees again.
I say non-motorized,
have
I
a
guess I'll
camping
clarify
spot?
that, non-motorized,
Canoes
because they
as
don't need to
well.
bring a speedboat or
They
something.
do.
I think they should have a camping spot.
Canoes and
With-
rowboats. and
with a camping
canoes.
spot.
Yes.
Yeah,
Make your name
absolutely,
for
yeah.
That was
Now everybody just goes out.
So are we adding the camping spot too?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wait a minute.
Or
No,
just no. No?
no.
No, you're correct. Okay.
What
I guess
is
that's
your
correct.
motion now? Your motion now is to,
I'm just trying to move this along.
well, I am too, so.
I say do it with the purchase of a camping spot. They can waive their
I like that.
Yes.
What if the local church wants to take their kayaks on the
Then
Then our
they-
local
they-
church can come and we will tell them we have no problem with you doing it.
They can come as well. Local church people
without
can
a
come.
campsite is what I meant.
Oh, no. With purchase of a campsite, they get the non-motorized vehicle permit for the day
Free
at
with
no
purchase.
cost.
Purchase necessary.
There you go.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion now, Stephanie.
And
Got
they-
that?
And they would
That's
still
right.
have to pay the $10 inspection
Well, back
fee,
teeth
but at
are
least they're not paying the $10, whatever the fee is for their daily permit.
And Brett still said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Stephanie will reread the motion for me, please.
We have a motion to allow nonprofit organizations a 1-day permit fee. They still pay the inspection fee.
No, non-motorized.
Did I say that?
Okay.
Non-motorized. Yep, I have that
Non-motorized
written down.
aircraft.
Moved by Annie, seconded by Brett.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Those in favor? Those opposed?
Here.
Okay. Are we done with the lake
No,
business? No.
No.
No,
Okay.
that was only my first thing.
Great.
I know, right? Some gal who came in the other day that owns one of the Airbnbs, and she wanted to buy a guest permit, which is the $29 for a resident fishing permit. And Mary Jane didn't sell it to her because the rules in the books up there say the person has to be the resident and they have to purchase one, and then they have to be with the people that are camping or that are fishing with them unless they're on their dock. If they're on their dock, they can be out there by themselves. But if they're fishing anywhere else in the lake, they have to have that resident with them. So that person couldn't buy a resident guest permit. So my question is, now I'm pretty sure somebody told me that Mary Jane had told me that that gal had put it in her packet that they needed to come over and buy a fishing permit from the bait house. But we have quite a few Airbnbs out there, and I'm doubting that all of them are going to be that proficient. So I was wondering if, we could have maybe like $100 a year guest permit for them, and the people that they rent their cabins out to can fish, because they're going to fish anyway.
So an increased rate permit for their guests to be able to fish.
Right. Just for
and they're assuming responsibility.
just for the
that.
Airbnb people, right? Just because, if they're renting it and they're staying there, they're more than likely going to fish if they want to. Not every.
That's true.
So.
And they rent it 12 months out of the year. So I see where she's coming from with $100, but in my mind, I wouldn't want to go any less than 120 because that's only still $10 a month to be able to have their renting business and be fishing off of the dock.
I don't know that you can make them, but
Well, a 1-day fishing permit is $3.
right.
I got somebody in the audience
I
just,
have a question. If I go camping in Wyoming and I want to go trout fishing, I pay. I go to Branson, I want to go fishing, and I'm staying in an Airbnb, I pay. Everywhere I go, I have to pay a license, and they don't care if I'm starting to buy my license at their lake for the year in January, or if I'm buying in September, I pay full price. I don't even get a reduction. So why would those people that are coming fishing think that they should be able to fish?
Well, you are a law-abiding citizen who does what she's supposed to do.
Because they rented an Airbnb that has docks, and
So have I.
but nobody's made them aware of that, so they think they've rented everything.
It's in there. They're supposed to.
Is it in
have
their
a chart
pamphlet?
It's got all the rules and regulations. So it's
Okay.
in there.
And they have to sign when they.
Yes.
All right. Well, then it's a moot
Everybody
point.
reads paperwork.
but
Correct.
into the one that I did not sell, I
rented
did
tons of
express to
Airbnbs
that one,
never
and I
rented
handed
places.
them a copy of regulations. And I highlighted that their people needed to come over and apply for a 1-day or 5-day, depending upon how long they are going to be there. Fishing permits, we allow them, so on and so forth. She put it in her book. She And I can tell you right now, the last 2 weekends it's been booked, they have came over and gotten the permits.
Okay,
So
never
I
mind.
don't know about the other B&B Airbnbs because not all of them have came in, and I don't know if any of them have gotten a guest permit thinking that they don't.
Or maybe they didn't fish.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's something that we need to send to all of the Airbnbs and highlight and.
They have all been notified that they're supposed to have it.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a
Part
couple.
of their permit to get a conditional use permit to have a restaurant.
Oh, okay. All right, then I did not know that. I should have just talked to you. I have 2 or 3 broken picnic tables.
Yep, we have 2 that I know of. We need them hauled off, please. One is down on the concrete by the bathroom and the beach. Number 2 is a blue one, and it's up by between TL1 and 3, and it's doing the same thing as the one down on the beach. The metal legs are folding in. So one side fell in, and the other one's getting ready to start falling in on the other one. I found it this weekend. So I don't know if those need to be replaced with different ones.
I don't know if it's this council or not, but it seems to me that somewhere I heard about in the wintertime that the crews rebuild those picnic tables.
Well, they built brand new ones.
Or build brand new ones.
The wood
Are people
The
doing
wood
that?
ones are good.
Our
Okay.
guys did, yeah.
Okay.
Some of them.
It's
I
the
don't know.
metal ones that are caving in on themselves that we
It's
had.
metal
out there.
ones,
Yeah.
okay.
One of their, because they go like this.
The base just goes like this.
Yeah, and then
This side.
and
Yeah,
then when
the
people
board goes
sit on
across, they fall in. And you
Yep.
just have a support underneath there when they're brand new. And they last a whole lot longer.
And they're setting in the wide open. If you've driven out at the lake, there's no way
Yeah,
you
they
can
look
miss them.
ridiculous.
I
when they're
saw
sitting. They need to
Yeah,
take
when
care
Bruce
of.
Ashman Silas was fishing, I took him to the bathroom. I saw him.
They do look bad. And
I'll get rid of them.
Thank you.
I'll throw them in the lake.
excellent.
And then when it gets down to 30% like Lake Mead, you can find all that stuff we chucked in there.
All right. I need to know if we have a checkout time for campers.
That was 11, isn't it?
Is it 11 or 12? Or
You have nothing in writing.
It's not on the permit, the little brochure.
No, sir.
It's not. And I
Well, I
looked,
can't
they
believe
had
this
asked
was
me
up.
and I had looked through the contract and I was like, I've never been asked that question before, actually. So-
right, because
The reason I'm asking is because July 3rd, July 4th, we have a bunch of campers leaving. We could still rent to some on July 4th.
If they've
But-
vacated.
We do not have a checkout time, so if that camper decides not to leave until
What time would
after
you like them to
fireworks,
check out?
then I can't rent one out
What time do you want them out?
by noon.
oh, I think then.
I think
It's reasonable.
almost every place I've camped, it's 11 o'clock and you can't check in until 2 o'clock. Most people are very lenient and let it ebb and flow, but
Well, the 3-hour windows normally so those people can clean up after. And we're not doing that either, are we?
No,
We
well,
do
unless
check.
You
Okay,
don't
we-
know if you're gonna have to clean up after them until they're gone.
Well, I know, but are we cleaning up after? Are
We
we going
are
out there and
checking.
inspecting?
We
That's
are
my
checking,
question.
yes.
We are inspecting the
Yes.
campsite.
We have.
I,
All right, then
yes.
the 3-hour window's not unfathomable.
no,
I'd
We
say,
just
I'd
need
say
to-
11 o'clock, check out by 11 and then we can start moving people in.
do we need a motion to make that check?
No, that's your new policy. You just decided.
Check out at 11.
Check out is at 11.
I'm in it too.
Yeah, this is a
Thank you.
proprietary function.
You might get you an 8.5 by 11 printout and post it in your bait shop.
Check out is
If-
at 11.
Okay.
Check in
By
at
order of
2.
the mayor.
If this spot is camped in Friday night, the Saturday night people should not expect to be able to move in until 2 o'clock.
Right.
right.
If it's open Friday night, then I don't care if they come in any earlier. I don't want to be a stickler about that.
Right.
Do you
If
guys-
somebody's there.
Yeah, I agree.
If it's open, then it's open.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's nowhere in writing, nothing, so
We should make sure that gets updated into the
I needed it
manual,
in writing.
Oh,
the pamphlet or whatever.
yeah.
And you have every right to tell people, check out 11.
Oh, I love throwing people out.
And now knowing that when they call and book, we can tell them.
And take the fire extinguisher with you.
Yeah.
And when they ask why
You
you
don't
have
have to
it,
go home, but you can't stay here.
take the fire extinguisher with you. And then when they ask you, what if I don't leave? That's why I've got the fire extinguisher.
I had
In case the fire I set gives a little wild and I gotta put somebody else's campsite out. Okay. Anything else, Julie? Mary Jane?
The big, well, I still have not exactly got it for my lack of doing my paperwork correctly. But the beer cooler that I got out there, the doors don't meet up. There's no seal, and it is extremely loud and doesn't cool very well. So it kind of, yeah, it doesn't.
So who's holding up the beer permit?
Oh, that would be, it's my fault. I mailed it in, the state of Kansas.
Okay, because I think paper where the county commissioners approved it
Oh, yeah, they did.
some time ago.
Yeah, it's Kansas. I mailed them in a piece of paper instead of emailing it. Well, then the other day I emailed it and Leslie was showed me how to email my document in. So I emailed it in and then they emailed me back and said I needed to be able to do this with my finger instead of typing my name there.
It has to have a
My,
written signature.
my computer doesn't do that.
Mouse cursor does, doesn't it?
Can you get on Word on your phone
Could I just,
or your iPad?
is there a thing I can download that'll let me do the writing with it?
Probably not on your computer because you can't actually do that on your
The
computer.
biggest problem is that the
You
state of
just need a
Kansas
phone.
is telling us that her application she mailed in is stuck in the mailroom and has been there for 3 weeks. And nobody will go look for it.
Annie, do you know with a cursor?
No,
Probably
no.
not.
You
No,
could
for-
scan your signature in, but I think that's complicated. Then you don't have
Can you,
Yeah,
can
we
you,
don't have a
can you
scanner.
fill out the form, sign it, take a picture of it and attach that photo?
That's what I was gonna say, or just print off
Oh,
the
maybe.
form. I can help you if you wanna come in.
I bet
Oh,
Stephanie
okay.
can solve
that we
all your
can figure it
problems.
All right,
Thank you,
I'll come
Stephanie.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you for going above and
Yes, thank you. Now, that'll do.
So now once you get the beer, are you wanting a new cooler? Is that the whole point?
Oh, yeah, that was the whole point.
Thanks a lot.
Marcia?
Or figure out how
Keep
to
it shut.
fix the one that's there, but it's so loud you can't hear anything in the building.
It's pretty old. I don't know if you guys have looked at it. I mean, but I know those ones like Dolly's got that are those double front door see-through ones. If you buy it new, they're $4,000, aren't they?
They work them $350 before.
Yeah.
You can get
Why
them
don't,
cheaper.
why
than
don't you lease the bait shop from us for the next 5 years and everything you buy is yours and you can buy it
Oh
on
no,
your
you got
taxes
an
as
inventory
well.
like yours. But I wonder.
And it's on the inventory as being yours.
Yeah, but not if she leases a building from us, you know, for 3 or 4 years or
Just-
5 and she can buy her
You
own.
have to
and
make
we
a
take it on.
profit to want to lease it though.
She will.
Does anybody know if like Pepsi? Can you call them and ask them to lease?
I
you a
asked
cooler?
them because mine is getting noisy too, and they said they don't do that anymore. There are used ones on, just start Googling, kid. There's
That's the
some-
problem is all the vendors, beer and soda and stuff, they don't
Right, they just got to
do
get
do the
away
cooler
with it.
thing anymore. It was
But
too
there's
much.
restaurants that close up and stuff, and all that equipment
Oh,
goes to warehouses. That's where I got some of my big red ones.
Oh yeah.
This is what I was concerned with when we bought all the equipment.
Exactly.
I'll do
Was
some
that now
research.
we're responsible for the equipment and all the maintenance and requiring and
What-
doing.
what Brent
This
was
is only
saying,
year
Julie-
one. This is only the second
I'll do
season.
some
We're already
research.
replacing and doing
What-
a ton of
What
stuff.
Brett is saying is just because we own the equipment in there, that doesn't mean that you can't buy more equipment to put in there.
Okay.
Because prior to last year, the city didn't buy any refrigeration equipment. That was all on who ran the office.
Oh.
Yeah, and then when they leave, they take it with them.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Or trying to sell it to the city.
Yeah.
That's only ever happened one time, and that was last year.
Part of them are mine.
All right, let's,
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all I needed, then that's
Continue.
my,
I don't have a cooler though.
all right, you're done.
I'm done. Thank
You're
you.
done. Everybody's done with this. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Summer help. I asked that that be put on there because at this time, I'm being told that the city boys don't have time to do weed whipping out at the lake. And I've talked to a kid that I think is a pretty darn good asset for us to weed whip out there at the lake only. And I just want to get you guys' thoughts on that.
We hire a part-time during the summer anyway. When we do the normal process. I guess I'm confused.
We've already hired a part-time summer help, which is the same guy we had last year, which is George Bennett, if I'm not correct. He's rolled over and he's already been mowing and working for the city. What did Mike say about that?
I was aware that that was going to happen because I talked to Mike a couple months ago about summer help. I told him to let me know before
I
anybody
think
gets
we all
hired.
knew that was going to happen because we agreed last year that he was going to roll over this year, and we hired him last year and directed Mike to hire him. So
And
I
also-
expected him to be working.
But also told Mike that he did not have the authority to hire anybody else without coming through us first. So George Bennett right now should be the only hired hand we have outside our regular employees.
Well, we did give him approval last year to hire George Bennett, Matt Bisnet, or the Hink boy, any three of those people.
Last year.
Well, we never put
It
a
was
cap on
never-
it. So
yeah.
technically, there's no cap on it, so he could still
Well, the
hire
cap-
any one of
The
those
cap,
three.
the cap became the day I told him he could not hire anybody other than George Bennett without coming to us first. That's where the cap lies. It's like you obey your last instruction.
But I thought we as a council was the one that directed him that.
Is it in writing?
Pretty sure.
Somewhere?
Since they're already employees, I guess how does that? It just dies.
Yeah, it's not like Mike is hiring. them.
Right. They were
hired.
already hired.
They're hired, they just haven't been assigned hours.
Right.
Is that worded correctly?
Well, I mean, they weren't really suspended or anything.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Because we originally hired Matt Bisnet, and then we gave Mike the authority to hire the other two, and then they were our set employees. And from what I remember, they were going to roll over next year. I know Matt has other things that have come up, so he's not going to be working this year. I don't know about
I don't know
Hink,
about him either.
but I know that George has rolled over. But Hink potentially, I'm just saying Hink potentially probably could as well.
They're all still active payroll system. They just don't put in hours to get paid.
And do they go to the lake and do anything? Because I understand George Bennett just mows within the city.
I think Matt mowed at the lake.
He did.
Last year. He mowed at the lake and at the city because he mowed the apartments once last year.
He weed whacked out there too.
At the lake.
Couple times.
I do have a question though. Who all mows the lake?
I think Jim's doing it, and it's taking him a full 3 days to do.
Well,
It's
'cause-
like amount of 30 acres.
I've saw John Taylor mow the entire front of it for the last 2 weekends.
His own area, I think.
No, it was around the
He
stone
mowed once at the
fence.
lake, Jim says.
He's mowed the last 2 Sundays for sure because I had my eyes on him. Because I think it was George that was also mowing the water tower on Sunday as well when I came back in from the lake. Because
Oh.
it was
Biznet only mowed once at the lake. That's what he said.
but I did see John, and I'm if John Taylor sees this, thank you for mowing the lake.
Yeah, I think he did offer to help because I know that he's having a hard time keeping up because they've got actually more mowed now than they used to before.
Yeah, it's a lot. They're
Are we,
mowing a lot.
what are we paying these guys to do that?
They're regulars. Oh, you mean
The part-time employees.
Yeah.
I don't know what their rate is.
Whatever you guys.
Was it
are
11?
Yeah, I think so.
Taylor
I feel
most
like that's
houses
a standard.
season.
It
Most
is.
standard.
Most people come on at 11. Yeah, I know that's what George is making.
And John Taylor? Are we
He's
paying
not.
him?
He's not on the payroll.
He just did
Is
it.
that a,
He's scratching the.
is he scratching our back because we're giving a good deal on the rental at the lake?
No, I don't know that that's a great deal. I mean, that house isn't in the best of conditions. I mean, some would argue that it's great that he's renting it from us.
He did. He did just do it to help out, I think. And I think this. I don't know what he's. Jim said he mowed around the house that he's in.
Yeah, I saw him doing that.
Isn't he responsible to do that?
I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even sure on that. I think so.
I don't know.
You rent a house, you mow the lawn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Anyway.
But John Taylor did mow around the stone fence in that front area 2 weeks in a row because I saw him do it. But he's also, what I want to say is he's done a really good job at cleaning up the front entryways, cutting brush out and trimming things up and everything else. So I just wanted to give him a shout out that he's
Yeah, he's been volunteering. to
Yes.
clean
Right.
that up. Yeah.
He's
absolutely.
always
His
willing to
time.
jump in and do something to make his lake look better. I appreciate that.
So do
Speaking
I.
of which, well, it's not time yet. We'll get to it.
Back to the summer help. Did you have somebody in mind that you were wanting to hire?
Yes, but that's up to you guys if we hire him anyway. Rubio from the high school, AJ. You gotta know him?
Dave Murr's stepson.
I just assumed our
he
summer
knows the
help
way he
would be in
runs.
it. I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Well, I've had nothing but high remarks, heard nothing but high remarks from him.
He's a good boy.
And my thought was
Yeah,
if
man.
we work him like 8 in the morning till 11, then he's out of the heat by noon. And if he's out the lake,
If he's doing any summer weights, that wouldn't work. If he's still doing sports, because that's weights time. in the
And all of
morning.
our part-time people currently make their own hours up, correct? They don't have set hours.
No, they just work when, yeah.
Right.
They just don't exceed, you guys put a cap on how many hours they can work normally.
Mhm.
well, I'll look into that too. I mean, the biggest complaint I've heard is they don't want to be, nobody wants to be mowing between noon and 3 in the afternoon because it's very hot outside.
Mhm.
So in a case like that, I'm not going to have him go out at 7 o'clock in the evening to weed whip or mow. That would be ridiculous to do it at that time. So why wouldn't you do it early morning to get it out of the way?
Well, I think the thing is he could decide that, right?
Right.
Like, he could decide what hours he could.
Like I know before, like I think George Bennett is 15 hours or 10 hours a week, 10 or
I'd have
15
to go back
hours.
and look
And
at
then
minutes.
he just, as the work is there, he works those hours up to that threshold,
Right,
which is what Matt did
right.
as well. And
Colby. Yes.
I was gonna say a different name. Probably. And all the other part-time people that I can remember have done that as well.
Was it Colby?
Would you not agree with that, Tim? Do you remember that? How that? Would you?
I don't.
Okay.
Colby Hink has a new job.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be.
Well, as a retired individual, I have the ability to go check on things. And I would love to know what hours people are working so I can go check on them, see that they're actually out there doing what's supposed to be done. That's one of my pet peeves about people just coming and going whenever they feel like it, because you need to go see something that's being done and you can't find anybody.
I wouldn't have any problem with them saying, hey, Mike, Jerry, whoever, I think I'd rather go out and weed eat from 7 to 10 while it's still light and cool. And then they set that in advance, and then we can verify that they're sticking to it.
If they're
I don't like the idea
Yeah.
of, you just go out and find time and then
Right.
tell us when you did it.
right, I don't like that either. I wouldn't have a problem with that if I knew in advance what hours are going to be working. Anyway, you guys want to continue that discussion? You want to table it? You want to just not worry about it, or what?
I think we need to close the door on Hank and find out for sure where he is on it. If we're going to pursue that, we need to resolve that. And if you have another person, Rubio, have him fill out an application.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct procedure.
I agree. If we've already got
And
somebody
if we are
available
looking
to
for
do
other
it, then
part-time help, then we need to say so.
Need to advertise it.
Well, we've lost one, potentially two.
Right.
We don't necessarily need three, but it's just nice if something comes up and they say, man, I was gonna mow this tonight, but I've got this that just came up. Who can we call?
I would also like to stress that we just keep talking about part-time employees and mowing, but there are a million other things around this town and the lake that needs cleaned up, fixed, done, that does not require mowing. And I, as a council person, actually expect those part-time employees to be doing more than just mowing.
I don't have a problem with that either. In fact, when I was considering Rubio, one of the things I mentioned was you'd start at the lake because I want that lake cleaned up by Memorial Day weekend, preferably. I didn't know we were cutting it that close at this point when I was talking to him. But around the bait house, around the picnic tables, campsites, everywhere where there's weeds growing pretty high, get that knocked out and stay on it. If it's on it, if you cut it down, it takes you 2 days to get them all trimmed down, 6 hours, we'll say, to get it all trimmed like it needs to. Might not need it for 2 more weeks, but in the meantime, that person could be working inside the city doing similar things, either trimming or cleaning up brush or doing this or doing that, or even at the lake. The lake really needs brush cleaned up out there. Would you all agree or disagree with that? So I think there's a lot of work that we can keep somebody busy, but if the issue is heat stroke, then we don't want them out there in the heat of the day.
How much do we mow at the
But
lake?
if you're if you're gonna have a high school kid out at the lake cutting brush, somebody needs to be there to instruct them on what to cut and what not to cut. We're wanting them to cut invasive things like brush, like the cedar trees or hedge trees or something that invasive, the pear trees that are starting to take over. If there's any of the jazz or the trumpet vines or whatever. What we don't want him to be doing is clearing the entire shoreline off and cutting out oak trees, cottonwood trees, redbud trees. So, I mean, we can't just say, here, AJ, cut this brush, because I don't know. And when I was in high school, I wouldn't have known not to cut just all of it down. So, like, there needs to be somebody out there instructing him in the beginning if we go this route, because we need to know. We need them to know what we want and what we don't want. You just can't say cut it down. So somebody has to take the time to be out there to do that. And then once you cut it down, we're going to have to get something to put on the stump so that it doesn't come back. And before we've just cut it and it's all come back, which defeats the purpose.
I use Tordon.
Correct. I've used an entire bottle of that out the lake already this year with what I've cut myself. It works. It works great.
Well, I haven't put an application in, and if you get the advertisement, where it needs to go.
Yeah, just flyers.
You can get it at the lumberyard too. It will work.
Those in favor?
Just make sure you go
Or
to
the ceiling.
I don't know.
Do we have a motion?
We have a motion.
Oh, what? I mean, you guys are talking something else. Okay, all right. No, we did not have a motion.
So I guess we're gonna leave it as please put up that we're looking for summer help.
Yep. Got
And
it.
her question was, does she just put up flyers or do we advertise it in the paper as well?
I think flyers should probably be fine.
And post it on the city website and the Facebook page
how we have
and
Matt
Eskridge Walks.
Same way.
We advertise and
Yeah.
we put it on websites.
Yep.
I think for them, we did put it in the county newspaper, which I'm not against. But as I said before, sadly, not many take that newspaper.
Facebook is pretty good about advertising stuff.
Okay.
It is, but people always seem to come up and say, well, I didn't know. And it's always in the newspaper.
It doesn't matter. You could glue it to their face. People would still come and tell
Yeah.
you. I didn't know.
Annie, I couldn't read something that you glued to my face.
I could.
All
I'm
right,
so
so we're done with the new city business at this point, is that correct?
Mhm.
All right, let's move on. Law enforcement by Dolly Mercer.
Yeah, I wanna start talking about it now so that we can have it on the ballot this fall, so that people can voice their choice on whether they wanna pay for enforcement. I know it's a property tax is the best way to pay for law enforcement. We obviously need it. We need our own. Detective Eric said that he would come to a council meeting and talk to you about costs and stuff like that, so all that stuff could get planned out, but I just wanted to put it in your brains that I'd like to get it on the, ballot to be voted on so that people know that they pay for it with property tax, and property tax is once a year. Some of them thought it was every month, and no, it's property tax once a year.
I've noticed just the last couple of weeks alone, we've had a tremendous amount of Wabunsee County sheriffs floating around Eskridge. A lot of tickets are being written. Has anybody else seen that?
It's been happening for quite a few months.
So quite a bit. They've come around for some reason. Something's changed and they're coming here now, which they haven't been
You're welcome.
prior.
You're welcome.
For what?
They're very thoughtful and they think about us a lot, but they're coming through and but they don't stay assigned to stay here for very long. But they come through, stop for a while, and they're trying to slow people down and stuff because they've been getting some complaints. But that doesn't stop the small petty theft, the property, the walking
But
off.
we're getting the exposure here and that definitely has curbed some of that.
Absolutely.
Like on the ballot this year.
Well, what's the I mean, who's putting on what on the ballot?
Yeah,
I
we
think
don't-
Dolly's under the impression that similar to the 1% sales tax that we had put on the ballot to vote for, that her idea is to put this on the ballot to be voted for to raise people's property taxes.
Well, that's not.
No, it would be, we talked about one time putting on a ballot, we never got it done.
But that's not a thing you can do, right?
Well, I don't know. The only ballot I know has been undone by the tax lid. The tax lid doesn't exist anymore. The tax lid would have required if you increased your tax levy over the base percentage would require a vote to approve it if somebody protested or to approve it. Not a protest, but to approve it. So that would have been on the ballot and you would have lost. There is no method to put this on the ballot.
What is the public's recourse when they want to have law enforcement and we can't seem to get it taken care of here?
I don't know.
It's what they've been supposed to be doing, and that's call the sheriff's department if they have an issue. And
They
they're
want
supposed,
local law, they want their own cop.
well, tell them to pay for it. Out of their
That's
own
how they
pocket,
pay for
out of
it.
their own pocket. The majority of people don't want to pay for it.
That's not what I'm hearing, Terry.
Well, I'm hearing all sorts of things that aren't true, Dolly, but I'm not spreading it out.
Do you want me to go ahead and have them sign, I'll have them sign a petition and
That
then
won't
that
do
way
them
you
any
can see
good.
it?
They can sign a petition all they want.
There,
Well,
there
no, I
might be a
can show you
method
that they want it.
there might be a method for a referendum, but I have no idea how it would be done or where it would be done, what binding effect it would have. So
One of the problems that I'm aware of in this town is that people will call law enforcement, call the Wabunsee County Sheriff's Office and report a crime, but then they will refuse to sign a complaint when the police come down here. And if they're going to refuse to sign a complaint, what good is it going to do
You're
us to have a
talking about
local law
domestic
enforcement?
abuse now.
Pardon me?
You're
No,
talking about,
I'm not, Dolly. I'm not talking
Not
about
really?
that. Yes, not really.
well, no.
I mean, we are witnesses in here to damage that happened out here because it was on video,
Did you sign your complaint?
but nobody would sign it. So how can they enforce it if the witnesses aren't going to step forward and own up to what they're reporting?
There's people that have turned in and had deputies come down here and taken reports and it's been turned in up there. I called the county attorney and asked him where it's at and it hasn't been brought to him. It stops at the sheriff's department. I don't know why that's happening, but it's happening. And we
Did
have,
you ask the attorney general why it stopped at the sheriff's
not the
department?
attorney, the county
Or
attorney, I'm
the
sorry.
county attorney? So did you ask him
What
why
I
it
do
stopped
is I
there?
give him the information, tell him who the people are, and then he goes and checks into it and he gets back with me.
And he hasn't got back with
He
you.
has.
And what did he tell you?
Especially on the incident out there at the lake, he was told that when he talked to the sheriff said that a witness could come forward and said the toilet was already broken, the ones that were blown up by firecrackers, and that's why they didn't move on it, and that was a lie. The toilets were not broken, and the damage that was done was witnessed on our video, and that report was turned in, and it did not go to the county attorney until I called and questioned, and then when he looked into it, he was told the report that he was given wouldn't have, he didn't go forward on it because they said it was already broken. That someone from this community went up there and told them that those toilets were already broken.
And the attorney, the county attorney called back and told you this.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you that.
You say it's a lie that they
Well,
were
it was,
broken,
well,
that they weren't broke
broken.
before.
They weren't broken. It was
So
before-
how do you
it
know?
was
How
July
do you know?
3rd.
Because what?
It was July 3rd. Everything was all fixed up. Everything was ready to go for the 4th. That was vandalism that was done and it was recorded. But I'm telling you that you're telling me that people don't want their own law enforcement?
I'm telling you that people won't own up to it when they call in and complain. When they file a complaint, that law enforcement can't do anything about it if there's no
But I'm telling
witnesses
you
or
that that's
people.
not always happening. People are calling and complaining and giving reports and stuff, and it's not being acted on. And yes, I'm sure that maybe that has happened. The only time I've ever heard that's happened here was domestic.
Can I interject?
Sure.
And
Dolly, I think that if you can figure out what it is that we need to do to get it on the ballot, as you say, I think
Sure.
that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I called the
Let's-
clerk. a
Whatever
couple
you got to
years
do,
ago.
let's get it on there and then let the people speak.
Yeah, that's why I want to do it that way.
One legitimate issue is that the county agency does not enforce our local ordinances. And if you call about a local ordinance, they will repeatedly tell you that they can do nothing about it.
That's right.
So what's the point of having an ordinance if we can't even enforce it? You might as well just throw the book out the window. I mean, that's noise complaints, that's dogs off leash. They have to basically bite somebody for anything to be done.
And they won't
further.
do anything if they buy someone. I've been down that road.
Well, the law enforcement won't. You have to call out of the county to get
But
any
the
kind of
county
dog
won't
control.
do anything.
No.
The cops won't do anything with dogs.
No, I know, and that's what I'm trying to say is now we have Sally, and Sally is a blessing, but we did not have Sally. We might not always have someone like Sally to fill that role, because it is hard to find someone who wants to be dog catcher. I don't even know if there's a whole long list of ordinances, but I know there are several that they can do nothing about or don't do anything about because they're city ordinances. And look, Todd's shaking his head yes.
Absolutely right.
Well, I have to say that
Which is very frustrating as a citizen when you do have a run-in that's not that serious, but at the same time, it's a nuisance. That's why we have the ordinance. Or real crime that we can't ever catch or get taken care of, even though we're literally going, here they are on video. Here's a picture.
Here's the license plate number.
Nope.
Yeah.
if you're going to follow through with this, Dolly, I would like to have numbers. So I would like to know how much it's going to raise my property taxes.
Which I think Justin actually has, or we've called
Yeah,
in
we've
and
done
gotten
it
those
before.
numbers. So we did have that. So we can get it again. I'm sure it's not that difficult.
Because
I'm sure I could scroll
I
back on
can tell you,
Facebook.
I'm not for raising property taxes.
Well, of course,
in
not.
any
You have a
way,
lot
shape,
of
or form.
property in town. Your family has like 6, but that's, I've got property. I'll pay the price. $150 a year is nothing.
It's not about how much I have. I'm just not for increasing property taxes. Period. They could be increased already
You
with
don't
the
think that people would
school
feel
board
more
with the
secure if
school
we had a
this
cop
coming
here?
election. So that would be
Yeah.
a double whammy.
All right, I think we've got the point across.
Yeah,
what
I
Dolly
do.
needs
I'll
to
find
do.
that information out. I just wanted to let you know that I was gonna get to it, especially after I heard about what happened down at the storage shed, Tim. I like your boy a lot. That
You got
upset
the
me.
truck.
And I'm sitting there looking for that truck every day.
Can't do it. They got the truck. Impounded it. Can't hang it.
Why don't we have videos down there?
Well, it wouldn't do any good, even if it was on the video, because they're not gonna do anything to them.
Exactly. That's what we found out.
Okay,
Yeah.
next up on the council business is the buoys.
Before we get into this, I would like to interject. John Taylor called me up and said that he'd be interested in doing some horse trading with us. He would place the buoys if we acquire them, if we would give him a boat permit for the year. And I'm all for it.
My concern is this. Mike said it was dangerous for our guys to be doing it. So how is it not dangerous for him by himself to not be doing it? I just don't want to have him doing something that
He's an
then
independent
we're
contractor.
fishing him out of
He
the
may
lake.
get help, and as I recall, the last several times that our guys have done it, I think it was John that did it.
Yeah, he did it.
Mhm.
He's done it.
He was my next contact.
So that means in 5 years, we have done nothing with buoys.
I think that's correct.
It's probably why we're all having them
Yes,
float up on
I
the
think
beach
that's-
right now.
I think that's
don't you think?
accurate, unfortunately.
I know it's accurate, but
So let's do it.
I just don't
So did you find a
understand
price
how
of
and why
buoys?
that is.
Did you find a source and price for buoys?
No,
There's still a couple of them up there that just need a new chain and maybe a weight to hold it down.
Typically, they use a 5-gallon bucket full of concrete.
And there was a couple of them that have just floated off into where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, I got one.
I would have a
You stole our buoy.
No, I didn't see it.
It's like a boomerang.
It just likes to move around.
It put itself in a hostage
Right.
situation.
no, I just kept getting
I'm
hit and brick walls.
absolutely in favor of that.
Yes.
So why don't you have a motion to approve?
I move to approve John Taylor to do the
As long as
buoys
he-
at the lake with the
Does them safely.
free boat permit for the season.
I second.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve a free boating permit for John Taylor in exchange for placing buoys and picking them up, or just placing them out where they need to go. What's
I think start with placing what we have and then we'll see what we're short and then we can look at ordering. Does that sound?
I think that we need to figure out how many we need, and I don't know, I'm not a watercraft person, so I don't know how many we need, how many we should have, where they belong. I think I'm gonna have to lean on Mike or maybe even John for that information.
Kansas Wildlife and Parks maybe might have something on that?
If John was the last person to set the buoys, he should know.
Yeah.
And if they haven't been set in 5 years, how long has Mike worked here?
I could call John.
Then Mike probably wouldn't know.
Well, Mary Jane's
Mike's
dad
been here
fishes
longer
out
than
there,
that.
okay?
7 or
Because I've already
7.
been here for 5 years.
Oh, yeah, he's
Isn't that crazy?
7 or 8.
I've called.
2014, I think, is when Mike was hired.
Yeah.
So then he might know.
There's also a barrel out there. The last I saw was
Full of
about
monkeys?
Did they get removed?
full of your
Barrel full of
children.
monkeys?
Is that what you said? Full of your children. No, it's out there. Have you seen it? Been out there lately?
No, I haven't seen a barrel. Full of, like one of them blue plastic barrels?
No, it's
It's a
not.
black one. It looks like it came off of a dock. It's hung up on
Oh.
the fence across the spillway. It's been there
Oh,
for
really?
3 weeks.
Marcia said something about it the last meeting.
Yeah, the last
Oh,
meeting,
I
it was
didn't
still
see
there
that.
when I went out there fishing, drove around with Renee and Silas, it's still there.
Stephanie, I brought up the this year, and I appreciate you having on continuing business because I have called Council Grove. I've called multiple places to try to see if anybody has known anybody that does this for a living. So
And I have been making phone calls. In fact, I'm still waiting for a call from Wildlife and Parks from a Mr. Jesse Garrett. I'm hoping I'll hear from him tomorrow.
he's very nice. I've talked to him.
He is too. I
multiple
talked to him before when we had a hawk problem.
Well, Jacob Green is the local
Yeah.
wildlife and parks. He lives right here in the lake.
No,
He replaced Jesse.
I think we had a motion on the floor, did we not?
yes, in a second.
In a second. Are we having further discussion on that motion?
I'm good.
Those in favor? Those opposed? Okay,
I will contact John and see what he knows about him.
thank you. If he's out there on that boat doing something like that, ask him just, hey, would you mind picking that barrel up off the spillway?
If it's still there.
If it's still there, if it hasn't washed down the stream.
Some council might have gotten it by then. I might see if I can remove it.
Oh,
Mike says,
Okay.
or Jim says they've done twice.
all right, let's move on. Continuing business, rope swing. Tim, where we
Swing, I
at?
just spoke to the guy that was gonna
Denver.
remove it.
Denver.
Yes, and he's back from Albuquerque and he hopes to be able to get to it this weekend.
Okay. It'd be nice if he has it out before Memorial Day.
We were told it would be gone the weekend before this.
Well, I told you I hoped that would happen,
Yeah.
but he was in training. You can't pull him out of his job.
He
I'm
was
just
here-
going by
He
what
was
he
here
said.
this last weekend. Cause people spotted him. It was the last weekend. Because people saw him. They had asked me, well, we saw the purpose, but the rope swing's still up.
Mhm.
And I'm like, he will get to it.
Is that what you're supposed to do? Just take the
But
rope down?
I do think that,
And the steps off the tree.
yeah, I do think we need to put an immediate timeline on that though.
I do too. I think this
I mean,
weekend.
if Denver Purvis isn't around to get it done or whatever, then we can get it done by other means. I mean, he's not the only way to get it done.
That's true.
I mean, I do know that Denver Purvis, I've been told, travels a lot and he could be gone the rest of the summer. Well, if we're relying on Denver Purvis and he's gone the rest of the summer working, then that's the whole summer.
Somebody did take it down.
Nope.
And then somebody else put it back up.
I saw a man out there hanging on it one day. It's less than 2 weeks ago. As we were crossing the dam, he's hanging on to it. Another man in the water. The guy starts to climb the rope like he's an army guy that can, whatever they call that. It's not repelling, it's the opposite, whatever that is. Anyway, he gets about 3 or 4 feet up that rope and somehow loses his grip, lets go on his own, whatever, but he fell in the water. And the rope swing, it wrapped around the limb up. I just laughed. I thought that was the funniest dang thing. And Marcia and I were together, and she said, "You gonna say anything to these people about that?" I said, "Not now. Rope swing's gone." So we went around the lake. We came back purposely across that dam to see what was going on. Wasn't a soul there.
Cause that guy was kind of chunky and he couldn't find
And,
the bear.
I went there this weekend and picked up beer cans. There was broken glass.
We're at the rope swing area. Okay.
Yeah. And Stella, I've got to give her kudos. It was Saturday night. Somebody had been partying and they were there. No fire pit, of course. And they just left it burning. So she took it upon herself to
Put it out.
get something and make her way down to the lake. And she said it took 3 trips to get enough water to put it out. But she put it out, you know.
They didn't have the fire inside the fire rink.
There's not a fire ring there.
There's a
No,
rock
there's just a
one.
rock.
It's not anything like any of the other fire rings we have around the campsites. I would assume that that's the kind of fire ring we're talking about when we say it has to be at a fire ring.
Well, it
Not
was
a
burning
man-made
Sunday
one.
night because my kids went fishing. I went out there, I'm sitting there watching them fish off the concrete dock, and I can see lights over there. And I thought,
What night was that?
a week ago, Sunday, not this Sunday, last Sunday. So I drove over there because there were no cars and there was just a fire, just a burning. There was a log as big as me laying there beside it. So I drove back over and I did tell Stella, I don't know whose job it is, but I don't have a bucket, but there is a fire and there's no people there anymore. So I think she went over and put some water on it or something. 'Cause they
No,
just
she
left
said it was this weekend.
This past week.
Yeah, but
So
I saw it
hers
2
was a
weeks
week
ago, too.
earlier, so it was gone. It happened twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing is, the deadline was mentioned. So do you want to make a motion to have something else done just in case Denver can't get to it this weekend? I'm asking you, Brad. I think.
I
you're the
wish
one-
Mike was here because I want to ask Mike, pose him the question if one of them can do it, or if none of them feel comfortable doing it, then something else.
Personally, I don't feel comfortable having our city employees do it. Cutting that tree down. I think it's
Well,
leaning.
the tree's not being cut down.
The
It's
limb
just
is,
a limb.
somebody's got to get up there and cut it down. Who's going to
There's
climb up there and cut
steps.
it down? We don't have a bucket truck in the city.
Do you wanna hire somebody to do it? Roland would probably do it. He has a bucket truck
Well,
and he works on trees.
There's others. I mean, there's a lot of people around here that has a bucket truck that can do it.
Charlie Ridgway.
So my belief with the city employees is we don't have the equipment to get up that tree and properly cut that limb down.
Safe.
You don't have any other option than taking bids. Because you can't have the city employees do it, you can't authorize in advance.
Well, Terry could talk to somebody this week, and if they say, "I'll cut that limb off of you for the city for $200," he can approve it right there.
Yeah, if you give them that authority.
I thought he can approve anything
Well, I don't
under
remember-
$500.
I don't remember, I didn't remember your total. Yes, $500.
So, and there's, I'm sure, no way it's going to cost more than $500 to cut a limb off. And if so, we need to find somebody else because
Obviously.
Hopefully, you know, we'll do it.
he won't be here this weekend.
Nah, that's not what you
Is that what you
said,
said?
was
He
it?
said he can do it this weekend.
He said he hopes to get to it this weekend.
Okay, and so now the question that's begged out of
You wanna
that
see the message?
that's okay. I believe you, Tim. The thing is, if he can't do it, if something happens and he can't do it, what's our backup plan?
I don't need to see your message, Tim. I believe that's what he said to
Probably.
you.
Well, I wanted to
Hopes
verify that he
is
said
what I am very
probably this
smiling
coming
about.
weekend is what he said. But I'm realistic also. Maybe it won't happen.
Okay, so somebody tell me, if it's not done by next Monday, then I'll look for somebody to get it done for less than $500.
Yes.
Okay, but we're just going through a holiday. with
I understand.
Us
I understand.
being responsible.
I
And
understand.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm not convinced that it's not planned for this extra holiday.
So pick the earlier date. If you want to make a motion, then make the motion.
No, I'm fine with leaving it, but Monday when it's there, then yes, Terry, proceed forward. Because I'm pretty confident on the holiday Memorial Day weekend, that is probably not going to get cut down at all. So come Monday when it's still there, yes.
Any more discussion on that? So do I have y'all's blessing to do that?
Yes.
It don't need to be voted on, does it? Since it's under $500. Okay. All right, next thing, let's move on. Employee evaluations. I was asked to bring these with me
Sorry
this week.
to back up real quick. I do know that it is not unsafe for the boards and the pallet to be removed, so there's no way that they can climb up the tree, because that is not of any height restriction or any dangerous level or anything like that. So those stepping boards to get up into that tree and that pallet to cross over to get to those stepping boards, that all definitely can be safely removed before this holiday weekend.
That's true, and it'll be put right back up no sooner than it comes down. As long as the rope swings there, the ladder's going to show up. And other means to get up there to get to that. It's going to happen. So we're spinning our wheels if we go out there and just.
Don't we have an ordinance against people defacing property? So if it's cut down and they
we do.
deface it again.
Yes, we do. We've already discussed that particular thing. But if you don't catch them in the act of doing it, then you're not going to get anywhere with it. Right? Am I right?
right? But if people take photos and video, you have it.
If people do.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Sorry, I'm still bitter about recent incidents.
Are we ready to move on? Now back to employee evaluations. I've got them right here. Do you want to review them in public or do you want to review them eventually in executive session?
Do you have copies for us?
I do.
I would like to move to table it until Justin's able to be here.
And I would like to be able to take mine and slowly read it in
Yeah, I'd like to.
quiet. And I'm not gonna be able to read it right here at this table or everybody around here and digest what I'm reading.
I would like to hear what you say, so I'll move to go to an executive session for 5 minutes if you want to explain something to us. But I still would also like to take a copy, look at it, and also have Justin present when.
Okay. I'm gonna say 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna suggest that we do it between mayor, council concerns and comments and the adjournment so the people that's here don't have to stay if they don't want to.
Okay.
And we're not going to vote on anything unless Justin's here to be a part of that vote. So there will not be a vote on this when we get out of executive session.
And
Sure.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I just gotta
So Todd, do we need a motion to change the agenda to add that?
No, so just go.
Just write it on there. Thank
I'm
you.
going to,
Okay, that's fine.
under other and continuing business, bring up the pontoon boat again, because in the minutes here, we were going to send letters out to find out
I have
whose it
one thing on
was.
the agenda, sorry.
What?
Or are you good?
No, I still want to.
Okay.
Is that what the boat permits is for? Or is that something different?
That's something different.
Okay.
I got something on that, so tell me.
The boat permits, it was recommended in the meetings that Jerry and I were in when we were doing the fish tournament, to stock the lake. And I have heard several other people say they would like us to not sell the short-term boating permits, i.e. what 3 or 5 day, whatever it is, on the holiday weekends. If somebody wants to put their boat on there for one of the super busy weekends, make them pay for a whole year. Because there's people that think it's too unsafe, which it is very unsafe. And we have just as much law enforcement on the water as we do in town. But the weekend warriors come out there and they buy a 3-day permit and they go out and do whatever the heck they want to on the water. And this is one way that people feel very strongly about that they want to try to limit the number of boats on the holiday weekends. Not all year long, of course, they would like to see it all year long, but especially on the holiday weekends, no short-term permits.
My first comment on that would be, it seems like the county residents that live at the lake are getting all the benefits here. And our citizens and the rest of the county members are now being restricted on holidays to where only the county residents at the lake can use the lake. I don't like that at all.
I think the
I
ones
mean,
at
that's,
the lake would already have a full year permit.
they would, because they're the only ones being able to use the holiday weekends.
City
Nobody else
residents
in
can
the
too.
county is going
If
to
you
be
live
able to
locally, it would
become.
make more sense to get a year-long permit anyway, so I don't think that's actually restricting anyone locally. However, I just don't see that it would do anything for traffic. I think people still go buy the permit. Maybe we'd make a little more money off of it. I think we'd still have too many boats on the lake. So if that's the problem, then why don't we come up with a number and restrict the access?
Thank you.
To a
I have asked
maximum
this question so many times.
on
What is
holidays
capacity?
when it is a concern, because you guys are like bumper to bumper on 4th of July out there. I don't know how bad it gets. 'Cause
It
I'm
gets
not actually
bad.
on the water, but from where I sit, it is. But I think every lake battles that, and I don't know what they do. Like maybe they do have a limit. I don't know.
There has to be a capacity. There's a capacity to everything. So what
If
is
there
the
was
capacity?
one door to get onto the lake and get off of the lake, then you would be able to know what that capacity
Right,
is.
but you'd have like a
That's
rough
impossible.
estimate of residence boats. I mean, who's got a dock? I think you subtract that number out of your total. I don't know. Maybe that's a dumb way to do it, but
I agree with Tim. It'd be hard to enforce that.
If Jerry
I
has
think-
3 boats tied to his dock and he is only going to use one of them on that weekend, or maybe not even one of them on that weekend, but those 3 are going to be counted towards the census.
right.
I mean,
Well,
it's-
I just if I thought it would work, I'd be in favor. I mean, we can try it and see if it does anything, but I don't know that it'll change how many boats go on the lake that day or that weekend.
That'd be
I'm
pretty
skeptical.
hard if I was a camper and I showed up on
with a boat
on my day with
You're
a boat
losing-
and
and
told
you're
I
gonna
can't
lose
get in the
revenue
lake
too,
because
that's really
Right,
camping
like
revenue.
it's only to me, it's benefiting the lake residents, and that's what they want. They want to seal it
Not
off
those
for
weekends.
themselves
We have
for
a
the
good
holiday
fireworks show.
weekend.
People are gonna pay whatever they want.
but this isn't the lake
They pay
resident proposing this
Twice
to
as
you,
much
is
as
it?
Shawnee Lake or
He just said, who were you just saying?
Yeah, it was-
Lake residents?
normal days.
Lake
yes.
residents were proposing this to 10.
That was at that meeting that they were talking about with the fish tournament, right?
Several meetings that we had, yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
I mean,
think they
because
talked about
Eskridge
the
would love to
VRBO
seal the
meetings
lake
as well,
off
didn't they?
just to the citizens of Eskridge for the holiday weekends.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if the citizens of Eskridge just got the sole use of the lake.
That wasn't the same person at the VRBO meetings that brought it up.
No, there were different people that brought it up.
I don't know if you're aware, there was a bunch of meetings that were held at the lake, and they asked me to be on the board since I'm the city rep for the lake. And it was to basically stop the VRBOs from taking over the lake. And there were several meetings where we discussed. That's what did we talk about earlier tonight?
Well, yeah, that was part of what I was talking about.
The paper they
have
signed.
this List of things that they have to have on their list before they can apply for a, permit, what is it?
They're given that little
Conditional use
pamphlet.
permit to have.
They have to sign saying that they received all of that. But anyway, that was something else that was brought up at not only the VRBO meetings that we had the year before, but this previous summer when we had the meetings about fish stocking the lake. But yes, it was lake people, more than a couple of them.
Well, as I said, I'm sure they would love to seal off the lake for themselves for the holiday weekend.
Well,
Absolutely certain of it.
as it is, we basically have to limit our time on the lake on holiday weekends.
I know, but you can't expect us to limit our park area and our people that come to enjoy our park or our citizens because of that.
No, and I understand what you're saying.
But
you understand what we're coming from too. I mean, it gets.
I have.
Down there.
I brought up the capacity thing multiple times. Maybe we shouldn't let skiers and fast boats be out on the lake on holidays. Maybe it should just be pontoons, paddle boats, kayaks and stuff because it is dangerous. And if you're in one of those big fancy boats that go super fast while everything else is kind of chugging along and don't go so fast, it's congested. I've almost seen multiple crashes out of the lake that could happen in the future that would be horrible. But I am not for the use of only lake residents on holiday weekend. Absolutely not.
I've seen places that
I think he was talking about people having to have a year-round permit. And a lot of the local people in the area do have year-round permits.
But not all of
Lake
them.
people that have year-round permits.
Do we still have a time when people can ski and when they can't? And when people can fish and when they can't? Because when I was growing up, there was only certain times that you could do that, and that might help.
John Taylor said there was no way of enforcing it, so we did away with it.
Because
It was
all
always
this
enforced
stuff
when I was a
is
kid.
already decided.
I don't know. We had a water person then.
I don't think it's in there, but it shouldn't really be that punitive to
10 years.
unless you have a real big boat.
Well, yeah, but even when I was a kid out there.
For what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
These are season fees
All right.
and these are daily fees.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's move on.
Charges season fee.
Let's
I mean, it
move
wouldn't be
on.
that bad.
Did you get a bid for the wall?
Not yet, but I with JD. That's who you talk with. Is JD? He's this bidder now, whatever, and he is supposed to be sending it. I don't know that I gave him Daphne, did he send it to you last year when he sent it in an email?
Oh,
I gave him my email address. He said, I'll send it to you right now. That was days ago. I still don't have it.
Yeah, because I called and talked to him and he was hoping to have it before this meeting. But like I said, I can't get into my email, so he could have sent it to me. I gave him yours.
fishing is
But-
permitted 24 hours a day, year round.
I think what Marcia's getting at, because I've seen this before, some lakes restrict the lake, say until 11 a.m. or until noon. They restrict it from having fast boats, skiers, that sort of thing on their jet skis. That allows the fishermen to get out in the morning, do their thing. Anybody in a pontoon boat do their thing, and then at noon it's free for all. That might be what she's referring to, is something along those lines.
Well, it used to be there was only skiing allowed on certain days. But
Things were so different before they all changed.
yes, they were.
Who's gonna enforce it?
Yeah, exactly. That was
Well,
my
we had a
next
couple
comment.
times,
You're
don't
you're
know.
exactly right.
Mark used to do it. That's when they had police on the side of that truck. Yeah, Mark did it when he was our city marshal.
Right.
He went out there.
Yeah. I think if we had a law enforcement in this town, that person would be spending most of the summer at the lake.
Perhaps.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Especially if you're
We're
wanting to raise
joking.
our property taxes. be
Whew, okay,
patrolling
let's not
for
get
them
off on
at
a
the lake.
All
no
right,
related.
yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Let's table the boat permit discussion, okay?
Yeah.
Let's table
Now
that.
you're the wall discussion.
Pardon me?
He moved on to the wall.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
Yeah, we talked
I
about
brought
the
you the
wall and
last two
sunken
applications
concrete,
of
what we
two
talked
cops
about.
that we hired, so don't give me that.
Hold up, Brett, please.
One last thing that'll only take I hope it'll only take a few minutes. We have discussed this before. Somebody has told me that somebody is trying to get permission from Wild Olives to put a camper out there over the 4th of July weekend. And that's not a legitimate campsite. And we have informed Julie before, right?
Yes, I told her what I had talked about before. And it is not a campsite. And I think we've told him to not do that before. Here's my hang up. She pays the electricity on that light pole. She's the one that's billed for it. She's the one that pays for it. That's my hang up. I am not for people camping up there. I am not for people camping on that side of the lake at all. But she does pay for that electricity on that pole.
So,
Your point is.
Yeah.
My
Well,
point
you said
is
after-
this, is that's where the camper has always been parked and plugged in on the land that she leases from us, connected to the light pole that she pays for. So I have a problem with her with just being a complete blanket a-hole and saying, no, you can't use that property you lease and you can't use that light pole to plug into that you pay for.
No, it's parking, isn't it? Parking lot? Yes.
It is. Now, I had spoken with Julie. The last time that they used it, in their contract, I believe it says it can't be parked there for over 72 hours or some odd hours. It was only there for 2 days, so it didn't even exceed the hour limit
Well, that's just if it's
of
in
the
lease.
contract.
If it's in the lease and it's in the lease, you
So-
can do it.
that's the way I see it.
So there it is.
It's in the lease. It's in the lease.
Well, like Tim said, it's not in the lease to have it there for 5 weeks.
Right, 72 hours is maximum.
Isn't that it? Isn't it 72 hours?
I don't.
I think it's that. I cannot be for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's like 72 hours or something like that. There's my piece or what I have to say on it.
Okay, so the lease controls camping at
Lake Wild Olives.
Yep. And the boat. Here's the owner of the boat according to the registration. I got just so you know, so we can close this off. As soon as we got back from the last meeting, I did an open records request.
Before you say anything, we are going after the old fees for the boat being on the lake and not being registered, correct?
What is, I've got to,
Yeah, well, let's hold up. Let's get Todd's out of the way. You can hold that thought. It's not gonna go nowhere.
There's a reason why I said it first.
well, because this, I just looked up, I asked for the registration, gave them the number. It took a week, actually a week and a half to give me this statement that it's owned by Bill Ridinger, or it was registered.
That's the last record of on file is Bill Ridinger.
Yes. So when I got to that point, it was what, 3 or 4 days before this meeting. I didn't feel it was fair to write a letter saying, come to this meeting, because that's pretty short notice, I think, for anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I put in my email to you. I remember it. So that's what I've got. That's the information I got now. I don't know. I thought the idea was they were going to be here. We're going to get the name of the person who has on the registration. We'll get the name of the other people who may claim an interest, get them all in here and say, this needs to be moved. Somebody's getting all this stuff about the fees and everything. It's going to be hashed out because perhaps they will come to an accord amongst themselves about who's responsible for it.
Well, they have been working for the last week and a half to try to get it out of the lake.
Who's
some kids have been down there working on trying to get that boat out.
Okay.
So it could be out by the next meeting. They have not had any luck thus far because I went to check on that boat yesterday and it is still there.
Well, I think it'd be appropriate if we sent letters out to Ridinger as the last registered owner, and Brian Johnson, and who is the other one?
Shutter.
Paul.
Shutter.
Do we have addresses for these people?
I have an address. for
Ponderosa Point.
Bill
is-
and Paul.
Yeah.
I do not have an address for Brian Johnston. He doesn't.
He lives out in the
city
country on
limits.
the 8 Mile Road.
Yeah. I mean,
Requesting that they be here at the next meeting.
Okay, well, let's
June,
get
whatever.
me the addresses and I'll do that.
Okay.
I don't know how to
Did
get
Bill
his
Ridinger
address.
signed
Brian
over
Johnson?
the title
Give me
to
the ones you
that?
have.
I think
You
it's
give him-
Then that,
That
they
email?
just didn't register it.
But
Brian-
I'll okay. I'll email.
Yeah. What are you saying, Dolly?
Knowing Bill, I bet he signed the title over to this, one of those guys, and, they just never registered it.
Well,
I'm
You can
thinking
come-
that's probably
And you
exactly
can come
what
here and
happened.
tell us that.
Well, he or his wife will, yeah, because Marcia told me that at the bank. Last week, I think it was. But anyway, but you know.
Okay, I got it.
I'm surprised Wildlife and Parks hasn't been sending him a statement. Where's your registration for this boat? You know what I'm saying? But that's okay. All right. So we're done with the permits. We're going to move that to the next meeting and continue the business on that discussion. Or we're just going to, okay.
Well, I'm noticing doesn't matter that it's not a lake meeting, June 13th.
Yes, the next
So-
meeting for that we have.
Thank you for telling the guys cutting down the dead trees at the lake. It looks way better.
Didn't it though?
I'm glad they're gone. Much safer. They did a good job.
You know what that did when they cut them down? It made all the other dead trees stand out. You didn't notice the other dead trees before, did you? But they're out there.
I want to take them stumps and carve them into a seat. You can sit there and fish.
June 13th, that's the next.
What did we do with those diseased trees that we cut down? Because if I'm remembering correctly, they have that bug in them, so they can't be burnt because it goes up into the air with the smoke and transfers, but they're supposed to be buried.
Really?
I don't know anything about that. I mean, you.
This is the first time that any of you have ever heard that?
First time
I've
I've
said
heard it.
that before.
It's kind of a strange.
It's not the first I've ever heard of that. It's
When you burn it,
I've heard about
period,
poison
first it's been brought up in the meeting because you had told me
Yeah.
before that about bugs and they can't be burned.
Really?
All right, let's move on. Okay.
Keep going.
Because that's still not out of, we're still talking about that sort of thing as well.
Is it time for exec session?
I think it's time for unless there's any other council concerns or comments or anything. I don't have any.
I move to go into executive session for 10 minutes for
Unelected personnel.
No,
Whatever you say.
because
Who's president, council and mayor? You need to say
Same.
Councilman Mayor,
Yeah.
do we need the attorney?
I don't think there's anything illegal or legal that's gonna be questionable.
Not yet.
I'm gonna get a ride home since
Okay.
there's a carpenter at my house.
Good. Hope he gets that
So I
done
won't
before I
be
get
sitting
there.
out there waiting around on you guys.
Still gotta
Executive
call
and
the
the
vote.
Yeah, well, we need a second.
All right, we got a motion to go into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel. Do I have a second?
Give me a ride.
Come on.
A second, I guess.
And we have a second.
Nobody wants to get this meeting over with.
Under duress. No, I'm just kidding. Go on.
Okay, we have a motion to go into executive session for 10 minutes. And a second. Those in favor? Okay,
You guys
it's
turn off
it's
the.
4-0. Okay, yeah.
Starts at 9:35.
Yeah.
I started this meeting a minute or two late because I was having something printed for you guys for this thing right here.
Doesn't make up for the hour 45 over. in
No
my
kidding.
opinion. God, do we ramble? This needs to get. If it could be talked outside of the meeting, it